Great. Well, we're live for the 200 subscriber, really 235 subscriber live stream / Happy New Year / interview. We don't know. But I appreciate you taking the time. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing? Happy New Year to you
I'm
too.
doing good.
Oh, and to all your viewers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got to get on the video here, see how many live viewers there are. I did one interview live before, and we had 2 concurrent viewers. So it's a start.
Yeah, it was kind of a last minute deal for me, or maybe you want me to put it up? Maybe I'll put it up on my social media, and we'll see if we can get some people coming on here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I put it up on the Modeler's Life page.
Oh, that should do pretty well. Of course, I need to find it, so I'm not on YouTube right now. I'm just on StreamYard. So,
oh, we have 3, including myself, so we're good.
That's exciting.
Sparky 107 107's here. I saw
Sparky doesn't count. What's that guy doing on here?
Whoa, I mean, I didn't. So I don't keep track of who else is live streaming because I never stream. It's like I'm going on once every 4 months. So I'm sorry that I'm going at the same time as his, but I don't know if we had the exact same audience. So
yeah, because didn't Vinny just start his at 5?
He does. Oh, what time zone is he in?
He's on the West Coast, and I'm pretty sure he starts at 5 because I was a guest on his live stream last month.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I have, right now, he, on his announcement, it said 8 o'clock. So, I don't know. Roger Coleman, Happy New Year. Dave Falkenberg, Happy New Year.
Dave's on here? Hi, Dave.
Yeah.
I didn't know Dave watches your show. You should have him call in. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I put the link in the description. Hopefully it's still there. Go check. Yep. So cool. I'm not familiar with Dave. What's he up to?
Dave is a guy that I know because he's been one of the regular folks when he can make it that was going hiking with us every Friday.
Okay.
Out here where I live. Super nice guy, super smart guy. He was just on my channel last weekend when we did the video that was the live stream panel discussion about modular railroads.
Cool.
So yeah, super cool guy. He should call in. Happy New Year to Dave. I haven't talked to him yet today.
He's making pizza right now, so.
Oh
well.
Yep. Well,
hey, go via or go home. I didn't know you watched. Thank you. So I guess, so whoever's watching, links in the description if you want to call in. But topic we were trying to cover is, what are your plans for 2021? For me, I'm just getting started, so hopefully going to keep staying at it, throw a couple interviews out there. What, you probably have a bit more structured plan.
Well, I would normally. I would have a lot of stuff in my calendar.
Hey, Aaron.
What's that?
Aaron's here.
Oh. What I was going to say is I would normally. I would have a lot of stuff in my calendar, but I can't really because we're still on purple alert lockdown for COVID where I live. And, people keep not paying attention to the health officer's recommendations. And, right now we're, I think, experiencing a huge spike from people getting together for Thanksgiving, which they probably shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
And, now we just had, Christmas, and we just had New Year's Eve last night. So there's going to be more people here in another few weeks, and they're already at their capacity at the ICUs here. So, there's no way to, what I'm trying to say is there's no way to predict what's going to happen virus wise. I do know that this vaccine's rolling out, but I'm not expecting to have enough people vaccinated probably until the middle of next year, or maybe late summer, or this year, I should say, or late summer. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, kind of up in the air. I do have something penciled in for March right now, and I'm guessing that I'll probably end up having to cancel that one. We'll see.
Yeah, I have family who like 60 plus, and they were trying to sign up to get their vaccine because with Delaware they kind of laid the dates out, and now they're saying they got less than half of the vaccine doses that they were planning on. So I have no idea what's going on, but I hope it ends soon.
Yeah. So we're just kind of dealing with it as it comes, and if we're able to one sec.
Well,
I hate
right now,
sorry about
same
that.
in Canada. So
I hate when that happens. I breathe some down the wrong tube.
Oh yeah. Well,
Well,
I guess that's what happens live. So
I was going to say that's never happened live before, but I'm just I'm nervous because I'm on the show with you, so I'm trying
of all the shows to be nervous on.
I know, but you talk to all the famous people, so I feel like I'm out of my element.
Thank you for getting me George Bogatuk. I appreciate it. That was a fun talk.
Right, and I feel like I've been a terrible, terrible friend, even though I've helped with things like that. I have not had a chance to watch all these interviews. Like, I know you finally talked to Jason.
That was, yeah.
I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So, but I will eventually.
Thanks. I appreciate it. No, I mean, I get it. I fall behind a lot, especially over. I don't want to say I had a mental breakdown, but at the end of December, I'm just like, I think I went 5 days without looking at a screen. I was just completely done with everything. So I just had to step away, spend a lot with just being at home all the time.
Yeah. I've had times like that too, where, like, for example, it was my birthday in November and I got Assassin's Creed Valhalla, right? That's some new game that came out for the Xbox One. And so I played that for like a week. And I mean, I did some other stuff too, but that was my screen time. I was not playing that and also, hardcore editing or anything like that. I mean, frankly, I didn't have a lot to edit. So, but that was kind of fun, just to escape for a while.
Yeah, editing just gets to me sometimes. Like, I'll kind of just get into a groove and I'll just queue up videos, and then all of a sudden I'll just be like over it for a little bit. Like, it just comes in waves for me. I don't know about you, but that's kind of how it turns out for me.
Yeah, usually when we're not experiencing this, monkey wrench in the plans, known as COVID, it's like a machine. I mean, I'm just out here editing and getting stuff ready and editing and scheduling it in my calendar. And I actually have a printed calendar. I've showed this sometimes on my live streams. And I just printed this one for 2021. And I'm just kind of, I'll fill in when I get it scheduled into YouTube, right? I mean, I kind of run it like a business, really. And as you can see, for this month, I have something pretty much every Saturday. These are the Saturdays here, right?
Yeah.
And some of these I still need to produce, right? Like next weekend. So I have the podcast tomorrow. That's the regular monthly podcast that I do at 9 a.m. on the first Saturday of every month, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And next week, I'm going to have one called Model Trains Galore. That's like a compilation of run bites of model trains. Well, I haven't edited that one yet. So that's going to be the top thing on my priority list because it's not done yet. All this stuff on the Fridays is all product spotlights or N-Scale Fridays. And then there's sort of one-off things, sort of, on the other parts of the calendar. Like this one is on Monday. We're doing a live call-in show with my friend Alvin. I don't know if you remember Alvin, Shaka Laka Bro. He does that. And then we have on the Sunday down in here on the 24th, we're going to do a panel discussion here on StreamYard. That's going to be about layout design. So there's stuff on other days, and those tend to be live things that I don't have to edit. So I'm really focused on the ones that have to be edited. And what I'll do is I'll just keep editing and keep editing and keep editing. And I keep going out and recording stuff, whether it's layout tours or whatever. And every time I get one finished, I look at my calendar and figure out where it fits in. And I'm just filling in days in the calendar. Well, at the end of 2019, or the beginning of 2020, so this same time last year, I had a calendar just like this that was filled all the way up through, I think, July. And I was like so far ahead. Then COVID happened and we can't go out. So now I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants. And this makes me very uncomfortable. Like February only has 2 things in it. So I'm kind of like,
it's stressful.
Yeah, kind of scrambling around trying to figure out what content to release. Now, in a way, you could look at it as being good because it gives me a chance to do a lot of the projects that I keep putting off when I'm busy. Like for example, one of the videos I have coming out this month, it's in like 3 weeks from tomorrow, is going to be a model railroading 101 video where I'm going to take an N-scale model and weather it's like a boxcar and weather it and tune it up, put new trucks with knuckle couplers, put the appropriate weight in it and then weather it so that it looks better. And the idea behind that is to show people, because I'm not an expert, I kind of dabble with modeling. And at the end of the video, usually when I do these hands-on things where I'm the one doing the hands-on stuff, I say at the end, it's like, if I can do it, you can too. It's not that hard, it's just, I've found or figured out, and this goes, I think, for videos too, that the hardest part of any project is getting started.
Absolutely.
Right. For me, it's that way. And I bet you can probably relate because being in school, like you have the big paper that you have to write and I don't know about you, but I remember when I was in school, I'd put it off.
I procrastinate too, which is great.
You put it off because it feels overwhelming. And then eventually when you do it, it's a one afternoon or maybe 2 afternoons and you're done. And it's like, wow, I'm done. And I always used to think, well, shoot, I should have done it like weeks ago. I wouldn't have had to stress out about it, right?
That's what I'm really appealed to live stuff because I feel like when I reach out to somebody, especially if it's someone bigger, like I feel like they aren't hugely into live stuff because A, they're not used to it, but B, they're worried that like they just don't know, so they don't want me to ask a pressing question that they don't really want to answer when it's live. I wouldn't do that, but that's just their reasonable fear. So I feel like live takes all the editing stress away, but at the same time, it's really appealing to somebody who otherwise would have to sit down and edit it. So it would be more content.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the nice things about live is that you don't have to edit that. So there are the virtual live hangouts that I do for Patreon members, because I don't know if you've ever been to one, but I know you get the notices being on the train crew. And thank you, by the way, for being on the train crew.
Yeah.
And those, because they're not broadcast live, I do record those and I do edit those because there are times when we're talking and I come up with a question that I didn't have planned to ask. And it is sort of an aside or something like that. So I cut it out because it wasn't terribly relevant, but it was just something that I was kind of curious about on the spot or something like that. So, but these, like on StreamYard, that goes straight to the YouTube, it's like, wow, that's just awesome because it's content that you're done with.
Yeah.
And people can still watch it.
Absolutely. And people, I like looking at the views between recorded stuff and live stuff on other channels because I've only done one previous to this, but it's pretty comparable. Like my fear was always, oh, people aren't going to want to watch through a whole live show. But then what I've learned is people just like to kind of see what happens live, because a lot of times recorded, I'll, with my interviews, just kind of put like random run bys through, because I'm bad at transitions. So I hate to just have it cut. And that's what I had for the longest time. And it was kind of awkward. So that's what I started doing. But I guess live, there's no take back and redo. So people just kind of like to watch that, is what I've picked up.
I see what you're saying, that you're thinking that they're hoping for some kind of train wreck.
Yeah, I mean, and it happens. I mean, you know, cough attacks and
right,
just messing up words, awkward pauses. Everybody just likes to.
Oh man. Oh, Dave, that's a great one. That really gets people talking for a while.
Yeah,
that'll
make a whole show out of that.
Yeah, that'll make your stream go on for 4 hours and 3 minutes.
That's what I'm like. I don't necessarily want to sit down for 4.5 hours once a week, but I mean, like, when I first started doing this, they were all short because I didn't realize that free Zoom could go over 45 minutes. So I was always trying to keep it under. And then one time it just accidentally went over and I'm like, oh, we can go over. So ever since then, I just go over the time limit. It takes about 90 minutes. I tried, like, people even think like 90 minutes is kind of long. So I'm nervous to ask people like, hey, do you want to sit down for 4 hours? I'm like, I don't really think that would go over well. So,
well, I know that when I did that with Dave that one night, we were just going to go on for like 20 minutes because he wanted to test some new connection that he had with his internet in his train room there. And 4 hours later, we're just like, what happened? Just having fun,
Was that the one on your channel that I broke 4 hours with?
Yes, you were on that one. I
was on until 11:30 p.m. my time,
right?
And I get out. I was in like an office room in my house, just one of those like rooms full of crap that nobody ever like just shoves their stuff into. I emerge from that room and everybody's asleep. So I don't know.
Have you seen Drew? Yeah, he's on the computer still. What in the world is he doing on the computer still? Talking to some losers on YouTube.
Like, guess what? My dad, I told him what I was doing. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go on like a somebody's YouTube live stream. He's like, oh, what's that? And I just did my best to explain it to him, and it was this very awkward conversation. Oh, he thinks it was one of the best live streams you've ever done.
Yeah, I'm curious. What do your parents think about what you're doing with YouTube? Are they like really supportive and they get it, or are they just kind of like, oh, it's Drew, let him do what he wants, kind of thing?
Like, I'm not somebody who spends a whole bunch of time on the computer at all. Like, if anything, I'm just outside all the time, except like right now it's 25 degrees outside. So not right now, but they're support. Like they're neutral. Like as long as I don't intrude too much on any family event that's happening.
Right. Well, I mean, they let you do it, right? I mean,
they're supportive of it. My dad was talking about, he's like, just because I don't understand it doesn't mean I can't be supportive.
Right.
So,
well, nice. Like you have a nice dad.
No, both my parents are really supportive. So,
yeah. Do you have brothers and sisters too, or is it just?
I have a younger sister who wants nothing to do with trains at all. Yeah, I'm the only one in my family who's into this stuff. So.
Oh, interesting. I'm surprised that your dad's not at least somewhat interested in the train stuff, because
I know I thought he would always be like, I when I was really little, I thought he was into it too. But as I grew up, I'm like, oh, it's for me. So, he likes it because I like it.
Yeah. It's kind of like that for me too. I have more siblings than you do, but I don't really think my dad was ever into trains, and none of my siblings really were ever into trains either. But when I was little, we'd go for drives, or we'd be out driving somewhere and we'd go over railroad tracks, and I would always look down the tracks to see if there was a light, right? So if I saw a light, then I would ask him if we could, go back and turn around and go back and watch the train go by. And they
Mhm.
would, and it's not because they wanted to see it. They were being nice
Yeah.
to their stupid kid, basically. And
Mhm.
nowadays, my parents are very supportive now. They're on the train crew too, actually, which is pretty nice of them.
There's this one story my dad always tells. We were going over train tracks, and looking back, they must have been testing something, but I was 7. And I remember on all those programs, and they're like, stop, look, and listen. And they always tell you to like get out and run towards the train if you're stuck on the railroad tracks. So there's a light traffic in, I don't know if you've ever driven in southern Delaware before, but the laws of like don't have a light right on railroad tracks, like it's kind of all over the place down there. So we were parked across railroad tracks, red light, and suddenly the lights start going, and there's a red light. And so I, as a 7-year-old, saw the train right here. Looking back, it wasn't moving, but I go to open the door and like get out, and my dad's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "The train's coming. We're gonna get hit." But he couldn't believe that I was going to leave them in the car and run towards the train.
Oh, like they thought you were getting out to watch the train?
No, I thought in my 7-year-old head that the train was gonna hit us because
Right.
it had the gates too, so they were started to come down.
Right, I got
Looking
that
back,
part.
they were testing it, but I was like, I thought we were gonna get hit, so I started trying to run out of the car. My dad's like, "You're gonna leave us for dead." So maybe that was what I would do. I don't know.
Well, I mean, fight or flight.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Oh man, that's great. Hey, happy New Year to Steven Sweat. All right.
Yeah,
There you go.
trying to get somebody to call in. Come on.
Oh, are people supposed to call in? I don't remember you saying that.
Yeah, it's in 200 subscriber call in.
Yeah, it says right up here too. There's a link, streamyard.com.
Yeah, put it in the description in the chat.
Yeah, call in. You
Yeah,
can crank
man.
call us. I got a crank call on the very first ever call-in show that I did. Were you there for that one? I think it.
So I was going through and watching it, and I got on, and in the chat you were like, "Oh, is that you sound my profile name sounded similar to the person who called in."
The crank
And
caller?
I was on my personal like YouTube account. So and I just in the conversation, and you were like, "Oh, are you the person who said they were looking for Mo Lester?" And I had no idea. I thought you were like joking at me, and I'm like, "What?" So I rewinded it, and it was funny. I mean, I'm sorry, but I couldn't believe it took like a minute for you to get it.
No, it just took a minute because I was not in crank caller mode. If I was in crank caller mode, I would have caught it right away, I think.
I started laughing when you were like, "I think you have the wrong meeting." It's like I don't know. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, you got the wrong
You have the wrong Zoom meeting.
Oh,
these cushions never fall down unless I am actively talking to somebody.
Well, I usually don't choke either unless I'm live on YouTube. Yeah.
Who knows?
I noticed that Steve87 was asking about doing well, Vinny's giving away the Christmas prizes. That's true too. I forgot Vinny and Dave did their thing a week ago.
Well,
where they were giving away stuff.
Yeah, I live stream once every 4 months, so I mean, my bad.
Well, it is what it is, right?
Yeah. So, oh well.
I didn't really think about that, but I almost feel like I should have been watching that so that I could see who won the amazing, fabulous TSG multimedia videos. I sent Vinny a whole bunch of videos to give away, so hopefully whoever gets those will be happy with them.
How's your 4K camera working out?
Oh, I love these things
a lot, but
yeah, I love them. I've done well. I mean, you see the 4K content that I post to the Patreon thing, right? So they do amazing. I just luckily last month we went to Niles Canyon and got to do some steam engine footage, and boy, that was pretty amazing. So, did you get to? I'm assuming. I've noticed that you're not terribly active on the Patreon thing, so I'm assuming you probably don't watch
I
a lot of
watch
it.
it. I
Do
don't
you?
comment.
Oh, okay. So you
I
have seen some of the 4K video then, right?
everything you put up on Patreon I've seen. I'm not a big commenter.
Okay. I was just curious.
I I watch.
Yeah, we were talking about you again today. I was earlier. You know Heath, right? The
Yeah,
from Humanity Junction.
Humanity Junction. Yeah.
He invited me. Well, he was on this morning, and I popped on there, and I was just commenting, making smart ass comments in the chat, right?
Mhm.
And he's like, "Oh, call in, call in." So I called in, and we were talking about Rod Stewart again, and how you're going to be the first
Oh,
one on YouTube to talk to Rod Stewart.
let me tell you. So I told you about how I reached out to him and didn't work out. But I reached out to Britt Allcroft and she like makes a point about like responding to every email she gets like publicly. So I don't know if she's gonna like say, "Oh, no, thank you," but it would be cool if I could have her on. So
I don't even know who that is. Britt
she's
who?
the lady who did the Thomas and Friends series.
Oh, okay.
So
Very cool.
yeah, we'll see if it works out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big question I want to ask her is what she thinks about what they just did with it, because whoever owns the rights, they just completely tanked what little bit they had left of it. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh well.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things happen like that, unfortunately.
hmm Uh-oh.
Someone calling in? Oh. Yeah, I don't even know what he's talking about. 128 gig memory card I sent.
I don't know.
I don't know what he's talking about. I know
Yeah.
that he might be making a joke because when Dave came out a year and a half ago, so 18 months ago, we went to Santa Cruz to a garden railroad out there. And while we were there, he's like, "Hey, I need to get another SD card for my video camera." And I was giving him some crap. You mean you came all the way out from Canada and you don't even have enough cards? Like, have you thought about being prepared or whatever? I was just giving it to him, and he's like, and he was just taking it like a champ.
Mhm.
And as we were on so it was quite an adventure because I don't know the area that well, but so we looked up on a phone where the nearest Best Buy was, right? Because I figured they'll
Yeah.
have cards, they'll
Mhm.
be overpriced, but they'll have them. So we went, and geez, it probably took us an hour just to go find the place, get the cards, and go back because traffic
Wow.
was kind of heavy.
hmm
And on our way back, he's just like, I don't remember. He made some joke, and I got it on camera actually on the Chasing Trains episode that I made out of it. That he made some joke about how he wanted to make sure he had enough cards or enough space on his card for tomorrow or something like that, like implying that he didn't even really need it right now. He did, but he was making the joke to give some back
Yeah.
to me,
Mhm.
which is pretty funny though.
Mhm.
So he might be talking about that, but I'm not sure. And he probably is moonlighting with Vinny on one channel and us on the other channel. So
Oh well. So there's like these like the event booking companies, and it was a contact us page, and one of the people they had was Rod Stewart. So
Oh.
I reached out and like with a link to my channel and like this short message, and I was not expecting to hear anything back, and I didn't.
right.
But oh well.
The important thing though, Drew, is that you did it.
I did, yeah. That's all.
Like,
It's closer than not doing it. So
right?
that's all you can
Because
do. Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I've never tried to contact Rod Stewart. Never.
Well, I think you'd have a better Lionel Strang wants to reach out, and I think of anybody, he has the best chance.
It
So
could be.
yeah.
Don't know. I don't know how big is his podcast. Do you know like how many listeners or subscribers that he has to that?
Just on the Facebook, YouTube for him is like not even like that's not a it's less I'd say that maybe that's a quarter, less than a quarter. Like a lot of people I'd say listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify podcasts. Because he only has 700 subscribers on YouTube, but it's a lot. It's bigger than that, so I don't know why it's only 700.
Yeah. I just wonder because I know that there are a lot of people, a lot of people that I know who live where I live listen to it.
Yeah.
I remember
It's not completely huge around me. Like I talk about it and some people are like, "Oh, what's that?" So I get them tuned into it, but
yeah.
it's definitely still growing.
Yeah. Dave says that they don't sell cards at 128 gigs in Canada. I'm really shocked by that.
Oh, wow.
Is that for real? They really don't? I mean, they have to. There must be people who do pro video like I do in Canada, right? And you need stuff bigger. I mean,
yeah.
I have a 128 gig card right here that this is even considered pretty small for those 4K cameras that I'm using. But that's what I use for my 4K.
Aren't they even making like the micro SD cards 128 now?
Yeah, you can get a micro SD card that's a terabyte.
Yeah. Really?
Believe it or not.
Wow. It's got to be like $400.
They're expensive, especially ones that are fast enough to actually handle data. They're very expensive.
Oh, that's right. He's big with Patreon, Lionel Strain.
Right. That's right.
Because it would be interesting because I put I tried to put my podcast up on Apple Podcasts. Didn't work out. So the one thing I had was it keeps, even now I tried to cancel it, but I can't, sending me like, oh, you had this many downloads and this many streams this week, and it's 0 and 0. But it would be interesting if he could like get the numbers together, because he has Patreon, all like the different Spotify, Apple, whatever, and then YouTube. So it would be interesting to see what that total number is.
Yeah. It's funny. I still haven't met him electronically or in person.
Oh, wow. You need to get him on your
directly to
channel.
Him.
Wow.
Yeah. It's kind of surprising, huh?
Gotta reach out. I would reach out through Facebook because he makes it widely known that his email is not. He doesn't check it.
Well, I've talked to him or made comments, in somebody else's post with him in Facebook, but that's it. But I've also never tried. I mean, I guess if I were to send him a PM on Facebook or something like that and said, "Hey, you want to be on a show or something?" I'm assuming he'd probably do it. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't do it. But I just haven't asked, and he hasn't said anything to me. So I'm just kind of like, whatever. It'll happen eventually. I'll probably just meet him somewhere. And be like, "Oh, hey, I know who you are."
Hey. I mean, I listen to the podcast every week. I mean, the Patreon show. I went on one of the Patreon shows one time, and it was very awkward because I was in Safari. It's called Whereby, whatever it's called.
Whereby. Yeah.
He uses that, and I was in Safari. What I didn't know was that I was on a 9-second delay. So he hit the record button, and I hadn't talked yet because I was just, like the pre-game talk, and then I said something, and to me, I was just in the conversation, but 10 seconds later, everybody was like, "What?" So it took probably half an hour in. He was like, "I think you're on a delay." So I got back on Chrome, but I never heard. He never sent me a link to the podcast, so I have no idea how it turned out. Maybe he just cut me out. I wouldn't blame him, but we'll see.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know, wouldn't it? But I think I don't really keep up with other people's stuff as much as I would like to, just because I simply don't have time.
Honestly, me too. Like, everybody has stuff there. Everybody's not as caught up as they want to be, I think. I mean, especially people who put out content of their own.
Yeah, that's mostly what my problem is that I'm always working on my own stuff, especially right now.
You put out stuff that's so like detail oriented so often. I mean, of all the people on YouTube, I think you have the biggest, get out of jail free card.
Oh,
that's not the right term. That's not the right term. But you're working on it so much,
I think I understand what you're saying, and I don't know.
I didn't say the right thing.
Yeah, no, I think I understood it though, and I'm not don't think I took it the wrong way, and I understand what you're saying, because the stuff that I'm doing is very editing intensive, and the stuff
Long
that
time it takes.
the stuff that I've seen that other people do isn't so much like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it also doesn't help the fact that I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to that.
Hmm.
Just, because that makes me busier or makes it take more time. But
Hmm.
by the same token, or at the same time, though, the content is a little bit more. I'm trying to think of the word for it. Not higher quality. Well, I mean, it's probably higher
Oh
quality
yeah,
too, but it's
it's time consuming.
well, it's time
I mean,
consuming
yeah,
too. I'm trying to think of I want to say, like, there's more density to it, if that makes any sense.
yeah,
I don't know
hmm,
if that's the right word. Like, for
yeah,
example, a model railroading with Jack Burgess episode.
hmm,
I don't see anything like that on any other channels. Now, granted, I also don't watch a lot of other channels because I just don't have time.
hmm,
But I don't think I have ever seen a show like Model Railroading with Jack Burgess on any channel,
yeah.
or
Have
or
any of
even.
those big
Mm,
companies reached out to you, like Model Railroad Academy or Trains TV?
well, I had stuff on Train Masters TV for a while.
Hmm.
Yeah, I had, I think, half a dozen programs on there for about 4 or 5 years when they were
Hmm.
first kind of getting us started.
I'm
But
surprised Model Railroad Academy didn't reach out. Like, I have Ron Marsh on my phone with the YouTube advertising. Hi, I'm Ron Marsh and Model Railroad Academy. So I'm
right,
surprised they haven't reached out to you.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about them.
Uh,
I know Ron. I mean, I don't
yeah,
know him. Like, I haven't talked to him on the phone or anything like that, but I've also commented with him and other people's stuff. And
yeah.
I'm guessing that we both know who each other is,
Hmm.
but I've never really talked to him beyond that. So I'd be kind of curious to know how he even got involved with that.
Hmm.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought about maybe like sending my interviews in, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, my thought was if they didn't reach out to you, then they're not gonna they're not gonna consider me. So
Well, I mean, it could also be, Drew, that I'm not a hardcore model railroader.
me
No,
neither. Me
right? I
neither.
I dabble with it. I've
Mhm.
done DCC installs, and actually some fairly challenging ones, I think.
Mhm.
And I've tried my hand at weathering, and I really enjoy operations a lot. That's a
Mhm.
really fun thing. But I'm not, getting in with an airbrush or kit bashing or customizing stuff or building ditch light castings to put
Mhm.
ditch lights on my N scale locomotive, or anything like that. So maybe they would just look at me as, oh, well, he's actually more of a video guy and not so much of a train guy. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
So that might be what's going on there.
The only reason that I have an airbrush in my possession is because somebody gave it to me. Like, I would not. That's just, and even still, I haven't used it yet. Like, I hate to say that, but it's just, I tried to use it once and the air pressure was too high. So when I just let it go, it was like,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
Well, if it's
It's
one
a
of those dual
learning curve.
action ones that lets you, I think it's dual action that lets you really sort of.
It had a valve, but when I opened the valve, it just blew it all the way open. Like, it was weird. Maybe it's the airbrush. So
Or
I don't know.
it could be that the regulator on the air compressor was letting too much pressure through.
Hmm.
Oh, that was
Yeah, I don't
nice,
know.
Steve. Steve 87 with the compliment on MR 101. Thank you. That's Model Railroading 101 is one of my favorite
Mm.
series to work on because it allows me to. I was telling somebody this, that some people are very visual and they need to
Mhm.
see, or they need to read something or see it to understand
Yeah.
how to do it. Other people take directions listening, and they're better listening than they are seeing, and other people have to read it, and then so everybody learns a different way, right?
Mhm.
I learn best by making a video about it. So if someone wants to teach me about JMRI, for
Mhm.
example, let's do a Model Railroading 101 episode. I'm serious, because then
No, I
get,
completely get it.
right, because when we're filming it, I'm
Mhm.
asking questions and I'm asking them stuff thinking ahead of what the viewers might wonder. So if you
Mhm.
say, you do this and without any explanation, I'll say, can you explain why you do it that way? Do you see what I'm saying? Or how
Yeah.
that works? And then, because I'm getting more in depth that way on behalf of the listeners,
Yeah.
well, it benefits me too, because I'm one of the viewers at that point. I'm recording knowing how I'm going to edit the video for the end user, which is the viewers.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot of stuff about operations by doing the 101 series. I've learned a lot
Mhm.
of stuff about all that stuff. So it's quite fun to make that series. And then
Mhm.
the model railroading with Jack Burgess series also, just because Jack is such a wealth of information. And you know what's the best part, I think, about working with Jack on that series? Check this out, Drew. I might have showed you this before, but I'm going to show you again if I did. When I show up at Jack's house to do an
Mhm.
episode of Model Railroading with Jack Burgess, this is what he has for me. You see this disc, and this is
Mhm.
from him,
Yeah.
has all the pictures for this episode. And then check this out.
That makes it easy.
This is the outline that he wrote
Mhm.
for the most recent episode of Model Railroading with Jack Burgess, where we talked about that weed burner,
Mhm.
the Proto 48 weed burner. If anybody
Yep.
hasn't seen that, go watch that video. But there's the script that he wrote to, it's not a script like he's sitting there reading it, but it's a script like so that he doesn't forget to mention anything.
Yeah.
You notice the little thumbnail pictures there?
Mhm.
Those are the pictures that go with the talking, and those are the pictures that are on this disc. So we record for 2, 3, 4, whatever hours, and when I get home, it's so easy to put together. It practically falls in place because of all the work that the guy's like the consummate professional.
Mhm.
He is so prepared and such just I can't it's a pleasure to be able to do that.
I like that. I know this isn't quite the same thing, but that caboose room. I don't think there's rarely a video and where I like don't. I always watch it on my phone, so double tap it and skip forward a little bit.
Yep.
I watched that whole thing.
The caboose
I
room
even
is
watched
pretty
through
cool.
like the ads. I'm like, oh my god, like it was just very interesting topic. Of course, it was a well-made video, but I've never seen anything like that before.
I hadn't either. And that's why when I saw it, I'm like, Glenn, we got to do a video. Well, actually, I heard about it first because I know
Mhm.
the guy that did the video, Glenn Sutherland, he's been a friend probably for 3 or 4 years now. And we have a mutual friend, Dave Connery, who's also just a great guy. He's been on the TSG Train Crew virtual hangouts. And I did a layout tour with him. And I also did last year when I did the Steam special, it was about the Sierra number 28 returning to Railtown 1897, and Dave narrated the whole thing. Well, anyway, Dave told me about Glenn's caboose room, and I'm like, "Are you serious? He has the interior of a caboose in his house?" Like, I didn't
Mhm.
understand. Like, I thought he put a caboose and built a thing around it. I didn't realize, that it was just an add-on to the house that was built on the outside to look like a house on the inside. Like, so when I talked to Glenn, I'm
Mhm.
just like, yeah, we have to show that. And the reason why is because that's something you don't see every day. And I'm all about if I can share with the audience something you don't see every day, I'm all
Yeah.
over it.
Mhm.
That's like, let's do it. I've signed me up. Like, you don't even ask me twice,
I'm surprised that video, like you had your logging inclines video go viral. I'm surprised that
Yeah.
one didn't go viral. Like that's even to people who aren't into railroading, like that's something that could take off. Like
Yeah.
you see random videos that like just trains and stuff, and people who have no idea about trains in the comments, like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So
Do you know who that caboose room could be really interesting for? Is
ew.
parents of kids that have
Oh.
parents who have kids that like trains.
Mhm.
It could be like an interior decorating idea video,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? So, but it's
Well,
funny
you
you
cut a
mentioned,
hole in your roof and then
right?
you knock out the
that's
sides.
the cupola. You got a hole in the
Mhm.
roof. You mentioned Glenn Sutherland, and I have to tell you that he also was very
Mhm.
prepared we went to do the layout tour, and he had not one, not two, but 3 packages of paper just like this.
Mm-hmm.
And each one was for the segment of the video. There was a mainline video,
Mm-hmm.
an Angels Branch video segment, and the
Mhm.
Rock Train. And each one had its own chapters. And he also had the thumbnail pictures. I was like so pro. These guys really prepare for these things. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean it's and like the topic, like anybody who takes that much time to prepare, you know the topic is going to be good. I mean,
Mhm.
I just look forward any of those videos, you know?
Yeah, I really enjoy it because as someone who's on the other side of the project, meaning, yes, we're there to film
Mhm.
or record, whatever you want to call it. But on the other side of that, on what I call the backside, the post-production, I have to edit that whole thing together. And if it's not prepared for, editing is 10 times harder because you have a lot more stuff to cut out and a lot more. Oh, I'm gonna say it, but I don't mean it in a bad way, or a lot more garbage to cut out. And when I
Yeah.
say garbage, I don't mean to dismiss the work that people have done or the stuff
Yeah.
that they say. What I mean is they haven't thought about it, so they say it the
Mhm.
wrong way. Then they're like, "No, let me say that again. I could say it better." Or I might even ask them, "Like, do you think you could say that better? Because I heard something that
Mhm.
I know I won't be able to edit." And it just takes a lot longer to edit. It takes a lot longer to record. So, preparation is the key to a good video project, I think.
And it takes a long time to record. The one layout tour I did, I was expecting 2 hours of filming. It took about 5.
Yeah.
Half of that was just the narration and talking, and then there was filming and the staging and everything going on.
Yeah.
It's amazing how long that takes, and it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. I mean, I didn't expect it at all.
One of the things that I've learned a long time ago is that if you're going to go somewhere to do, especially like a layout tour, and
Mhm.
even more so if you haven't seen the layout before, because I've done them sight unseen, where you just show up and you're like, okay, what are we
Mhm.
going to do? Show me where we're going to go. And
And yeah.
I learn when I get there, basically.
Mhm.
And I have never, ever, and will never put an end time, like a hard stop. Okay, I have to go at 5.
Mhm.
When I show up, I'm there till we're done. And quite frequently, if I'm not paying attention to the time, we'll just work straight through lunch, like just keep going.
Yeah.
And I forget because I'm just trying to get what I know we need to make the project. And I should be thinking, and I'm better about it now because as many as of these as I've done, I know better
Mhm.
now. I will keep track of the time, and I will tell someone, it's like, hey, do you want to stop and take a break so that we don't get burned out here?
Mhm.
So, but you pay for that later because then you're there until 7 instead of only until 5 or whatever the case is. But you can't put a limit on it if you want to do the right job, a good
Mhm.
job at it. That's the attitude that I take. So like, I'll tell my top secret producer here, oh, I'm going to go and do X, Y, Z, or I need you to help me do this.
Mhm.
And she doesn't even ask me what time will we be done. She doesn't even
She
ask.
knows.
She knows, it's like,
Mhm.
just, you block out the whole day and it doesn't matter because you have to get what you need. And unfortunately, there was one that we went to it was a little over a year ago in Napa, the Napa Valley Model Railroad Club, I think is the name of
Mhm.
it. And it's a layout tour on my channel that you can go watch if you want to, but they were going to be kicked out of their space on the fairgrounds. And I hadn't seen the place, but I had been wanting to go make a video there. Hold on, what's this? Take a day to do the recording by the time it's on YouTube. Yeah, he's right. That's
Mhm.
about what it is. Even chasing
Or
trends
shorter.
sometimes. Yeah.
That's
Anyway,
what
back to Napa, I want to tell you this story. So we went one weekend and it was stormy that day. And we were about halfway through the process and the power went out. I
Oh
couldn't
my
believe
God.
it. Like, are you kidding? This is the 21st century. We're in the Bay Area and the
Mhm.
power went out because there was a storm. I mean, yeah, I guess it happens,
Mhm.
And so we waited and we waited and we waited, and it wasn't coming back on. Our electric company didn't have any idea when it would be back on. So we're like, great. That, because it's like an hour and a half drive to get there.
Mhm.
So we drove home, and then we had to go back the next weekend. So it was 2 days, whereas it would have been better just to be able to do it that one day. We would have probably been there till 7 at night or something like that, or maybe 8, but it would have been done. So anyway,
Yeah.
that was an interesting time that we actually had to go twice. So
I mean, the layout tour I did, I knew the layout for years, and it took me not an elapsed 12 hours of editing time. So I can't imagine how long it takes you, especially like I did it off my phone and I can airdrop to my computer. You going through an SD card and having to like this image underscore 01234. Like you just need to go through and see what everything is and then get it where you want it. Like I can't imagine how much more time that takes.
yeah, well, one of the things that I've learned to do is, as often as possible and as consistently as possible, record when you're at the place in order of how it should end up showing up on the video.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is when I go to put it in Final Cut Pro, I can sort by the time that it was recorded at. So I know that everything that happened in the morning is going to be at the front end of the video, the start of the video. So as you're going through those clips, they're in order. So you only have to select the part that you want from each of those. Do you see what I'm saying? And it goes for the same thing when I'm working with like Jack Burgess videos. I'll bring 2 cameras to those shoots, and I'll put on, hi Steve.
Hey.
And I'll put on, I have the cameras synchronized. So the time is the same on both cameras. That way, when I go to edit, I can bring in all the clips. And even though they have the same name, they're shot at the same time. So I can put one on top of the other to line them up, so that I can switch between the angles.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense. It probably makes sense to you because I've seen your videos and you do a good job editing. So
thank you. I mean, I wouldn't. I think you do like 3 times better, but
well, I've been doing it for a long time though, Drew. So that might be true. I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh yes, I am much better," But if I am, it's only because I've been doing it so long.
So. Yeah, I wanted to come in on as the amateur person here.
Oh,
because yeah, Drew, I've seen a lot of your stuff, and even in your interviews and all that. I think it's really kind of cool the way that you go through on some of those where you're changing over or you've stopped and started the interview again or something. I think it's really kind of cool, the stuff that you put in the middle. And of course, like I said, John is really professional. I've had experience having to do the professional type interviews on the other side. So the company that I work for, we sometimes do videos. And like what John was saying, I've been involved in like 6 hours of shooting a video. And when they finally finish it, it's 5 minutes. It's so it's really kind of nice. And I think, Drew, you're starting to really do a nice job.
Thank you.
Of especially on the interviews on some of the things that you put in there and all that. And the other thing is too, what I like about yours, you're still, how do I want to put this? You're a bit young, and it still comes across that you are. But the people that you're interviewing seem to like that about you.
I can say, Steve, that you're right. One of the main reasons I think why I said yes was to help out Drew.
Thank you.
I think you said that in one of your email or however you contacted. I think it was email.
Yeah.
That you're 15 when you contacted me. I'm like, oh well, this is a young guy. I think that it's good to encourage someone and help them out. And why not? My wife always tells me if you can help someone, do it. I mean, it doesn't cost anything, right?
That's what starting out, I had no idea that people would want to watch a 15-year-old interview anybody. But apparently it's gotten farther than I thought it would. I remember I had a 12 subscriber special because I was going at it for like 2 months then, and I got 12 subscribers, and I was so excited. And then now I have 200 a couple months later. So it's amazing how much it grows. And thank you for your support. I mean, I probably emailed 5 people at once, and you were the only person who got back. So thank you.
Well, I mean, you're welcome. And, this, to me, it's kind of like, I guess that some people look at it differently, Drew. Like some people would look at it and say, oh, well, what am I going to get out of this?
Yeah.
And for someone who has 20,000 subscribers going on a channel with 8 subscribers, they might just be like, oh, well, I'm not, why should I care about
why
that?
would I do that?
Yeah, you can't do anything for me. So why should I bother to waste my time or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, no, this guy's starting out. I mean, if you can help, or if you think it helps, or if it helps them, or if they're asking, obviously it'll help them. I mean, it's only time, right? I mean,
absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's coming from someone who was just helped out, and every single person until maybe a month ago, I had nothing to say. Like, I've done this, and this. I'm just like, I'm a teenager who wants to do interviews on YouTube, and everybody. I'm so thankful for everybody who got back to me and was so nice about it and spent the time. I mean, especially when I made the transition from 45 minutes to 90 minutes. Like, I remember Gordy Robinson was the first one I did 90 minutes with, and he was so nice about it. Like, it's the people. It's a fine border between the people who are so generous about their time and the people who just don't care. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
I actually watched part of that one that you did with Gordy. I watched a large part of that one and enjoyed it a lot. But I was going to say, you could tell them that you interviewed me, but they'd be like, who the hell's that? You won't impress a lot of people with that on your resume.
I remember. No, you underestimate how big you are. I mean, I think you do. I mean,
as my friend Alvin would say, that's what she said.
Got the 2 sides too. John's got the online presence, and then he's got the what do you call discs now? I guess the hardline presence. I don't know.
Portable media.
Yeah, because you've got the hard media that goes out there and all that, and then you're on this. And what's been really nice, and I know Sparky's on here, and he'll probably blush and all that, but I know, John, when you did your 101 series, you also did that series. You did a whole thing on how to do a video, which was kind of cool, I think, if I remember right. And I watched that, and what you should set up, and you should write things down and stuff like that. And that was really cool. So, yeah.
You mean that live thing, Steve, that I did a while back?
It might have been the live thing when people were coming in going, how do you do this? And how do you set this up and all? And then you went through the whole thing of how you set up the different cameras and, how many different cameras you have and all that, where, like with me, I'm sorry, I just use my iPhone. It's just easy. It's convenient, but I'm not really going for, anything big. I'm just capturing some stuff and putting some information out there, and I think what's really cool is I know that like Sparky and some of the other people that had some of the bigger channels, when I first got on, there would be little comments, and I'd read through the comments and they'd go, you should do this. You should do that. You might want to slow down. You might want to pan a little bit more or something. And, even little tips like that from people that are out there, it's really kind of cool and it's neat. And I think this community helps that so much more.
Interesting. Yeah. I have a video that I developed the script for. That's Video 101. That was supposed to be kind of an offshoot of Model Railroading 101. It would just be like an episode, how to get good shots of prototype rail fanning, or how to get good shots on a layout type of thing. And I've had it sitting on my, in my folder for, I think, 3 years now. And I will get around to it one of these days. It's just and this is like I was talking about earlier, Drew, when we were talking about, not having the content 6 months in advance in the calendar and all that. That's one of the ones that I will probably end up doing because of the lack of other content that we could be showing right now that I just can't do because I can't get out and record for it. So Maybe that'll happen this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who knows? I mean, I thought
Yeah.
about doing it because I'm super amateur. I just started using my GoPro successfully, and I mean, the big thing about it was I do a lot of freehand, which you can probably tell. That GoPro's stabilization, as long as you keep like the pitch at least kind of accurate, you can do this all you want and it's completely fine. Like I took it to the beach and I walked along the beach and I have a shaky hand and it was like cinematic, like just perfectly still going forward along the beach and it was so cool. So I'm like I should have probably taken it to a train or something, but
Yeah.
oh well.
GoPros are pretty good too.
Mhm.
You know, it's funny. I was just talking about the Napa Club,
Mhm.
and I'm pretty sure it's the same Robert Darby. But you know, Robert Darby's in our chat right now. He was there because if it's him, he's one of the guys from the Napa Club,
Mhm.
and so he was there when we were doing. Let's see, I'm trying to see the picture. Looks like him, but yeah, see, there it is.
Mhm.
We were there 2 weekends instead of one. I was just telling that story, Robert.
Oh, so
Looks like you were gonna sneeze, Drew.
I was. I had like all of a sudden I was about to sneeze, and then all of it. Oh well, happens live. This is the stuff that would have been cut out. You would have seen like a run by here, and then I would have emailed you, and I said, "Can I have permission to use footage from this video on my interview?"
I've been debating whether I should tell you this or not, Drew. But when you wrote me that email, and I wrote back saying, "I'm surprised you don't have footage like that before," and I never said yes, you could. I never said yes, you could use it, but I never said no, you can't. So when it came out, I was watching it going, I never said he could use it because I was trying to hint like, why don't you just use some footage you have?
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's not monetized or anything.
Dude,
I
it's
mean,
already done, so I don't care. But I was just gonna say, I know that from now on, if you ever ask me again, I will say YES or NO.
I'm so sorry about that.
No, don't
At
worry.
least he
Don't worry
asked
about it.
you.
Yeah,
I mean-
I'm big on asking permission. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
It
I'm laughing about it now, so I'm not upset or anything. If I was
Yeah.
upset about it, I would have written to you as soon as I saw it and said, "Hey,
take it
that
down. Take it down.
Yeah, yeah.
The one.
See, if you look down there, you can see Robert Darby knows because he was there. He wasn't here when we were talking about it earlier, but yeah, the
Yeah.
power went out exactly.
My power was out on. It went out at 5:00 p.m. on Christmas Eve, and it came up at noon on Christmas Day.
Wow.
Yeah, that was weird. So, Steve, do you have a channel that you like actively post on? Cool.
More or less, yeah. I was a little bit more active before. I kind of got slowed down because work kind of got in my way. I work from home. Well, I'm working from home. I normally work in a big office building, but those are closed now. So work got a little bit busy. So my stuff kind of got busy. But so my background, my normal day job is I've written instructions on how to do things, and I give presentations and stuff like that to executives and all that. So I like to just come in and hopefully I can come in and give some instruction to people on how to just do stuff. And there's a lot of things that I'm doing it for the first time. Like right now I'm working on a weathering video because I just built a couple of these Walters cars and they're tank cars. And the bad thing about them is they've got the tank actually comes together right at the top of the car. So there's this big seam right down the middle of the car and it just looks stupid. So I'm like, well, how do I fix that? Well, and I make a comment about this in my video, it's just like, well, let's just throw some weathering on it because it's like putting makeup on somebody. So use the weathering to the advantage because it's really hard to, these are painted cars, so it's really hard to match the paint schemes and all that kind of stuff. So I'm doing this weathering thing just because it's, I'm doing it. So I'm like, well, I'll just get it out there. But I never really did the YouTube to actually get on and do YouTube. I actually did it so that I had a channel so I could do the chats and stuff like that with people.
Yeah.
Was how I started. But then I saw some people when they're trying to explain things and all that, and it's like, okay, that didn't quite explain it, and there's a better way to do it with a little bit slower. So that's kind of what I try to focus on is what I'm doing and explaining them how I do the things. So some people like it, some people don't. So.
Cool. So
in the end, though, Steve, do you like it? That's the main question. Because if you like it, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, I kind of do. I did that Walters contest this year, and I think a lot of people really like that. I actually built a chicken feed mill. And so I was showing the progress of what I did to do that whole contest. And it was kind of neat because I was doing stuff that I'd never done before. I scratch build, I went and kit bashed and did painting and stuff like that. And, and I just decided I wanted to document the whole thing. And it was really kind of neat. And the good thing is doing that got so much support from the community, from the people out there and all that, and some suggestions and things. So it really kind of helps documenting those things and getting those tips and advice. I think it's really kind of cool.
I found out about that contest a week before the deadline, and I was like, oh wow. But then I see all these submissions, and I think I actually came across your video, and it was all these people who had these elaborate layouts, and in that span of time, I'm like, wow. Especially the group one, they were either winner or runner up, and they had like a northeast corridor bridge with pantograph and fence, and it was very intricate. It was cool. So could I ask who Bob Fallowfield is? Let me Google it. I'm not familiar with him. Bob Fallowfield.
I'm guessing it must be a modeler, huh?
I'm thinking. Oh well, we'll find it later. Heath is here. Hey,
I know that guy. Long time no see, Heath.
Yeah.
Oh, he got back from walking the dog.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
that was a long dog walk.
It took me a long time. I actually just realized I bit down on something earlier, and I was like, oh, like something was in that or whatever. Now I just realized I figured out what was in it. It's my back tooth was in it. I finally figured out what was broken.
Oh, your back tooth came off?
Not completely. It's just like it's ragged, jagged now. So.
Oh yeah.
So do we need to tell your dentist who to blame for that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Are you okay? I mean, it didn't hurt. Get to the nerve, did it?
No, it was a tooth that was already capped. And it broke the cap. So of course there's, because I've just made so much money recently that like, why not give it to the dentist?
Of course. Yeah, exactly.
So it's all good. Hey Drew, how you doing?
Hey, how are you doing? How was your New Year's?
New Year's was pretty good. Can't complain. 2021's finally here.
Yeah. Me and my dad got so desperate on New Year's that we watched the ball drop on Fox. And nothing against Fox, but I don't know if you guys were watching it. It was a panel of 5 people talking about the most boring subjects possible. And it was either them or Anderson Cooper and the other guy, or NBC had something. And Fox. We just had to watch Fox.
What's to say? The ball drops at midnight. I mean, wow. Yeah. Do you have to have experts pontificating about that too?
Well, no, there's the lead up. You watch from 11 to 12, whoever's on, what their channel is.
Yeah, trying to sensationalize that too, I guess. Oh, well.
I only watched the last 5 minutes of it. Just because I tuned into some, it wasn't Anderson Cooper. It was, what's the guy's name? I can't remember, but it was him and some woman, and they were, it was just a mess.
Andy Cohen and Kathy Griffith I wish they were still around. That would have, I don't know. They were annoying, but I liked them.
Well, I mean, you don't know. Clark, of course, is the.
I enjoyed it. Like she was so annoying, but she made the guy so uncomfortable that it was. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So I just sit around in my house and wait for the neighborhood to blow up. Literally. So-
We had fireworks.
So I live on an Indian reservation up here in Washington, and right down the hill from and we're talking a mile away from my house, they have this setup every year called Boom City. All right, so imagine going to a place that has, these are like 4x8 shacks, okay, that they put the fireworks in. They have like 120 to 175 of these shacks just filled with fireworks. And up here on the reservation, it's not like in the city or anything like that, so they can do anything they want. So yeah, we had fireworks going on till 2:30 in the morning last night.
Wow.
Wow.
Do they just go around and they blow up one shack at a time?
No, this is the people. Well, I mean, people will go. I mean, even here, 4th of July is just a mess here. But people will go and spend thousands of dollars on fireworks. You can go, there's one booth that's down there. It's really hilarious. They always get a hand truck and they pack it with fireworks and wrap it up. And it's like their take home special. There goes one right now. That's another firework that just went off, that big boom. And these are like just under professional fireworks that some of these people get. I mean, it is amazing up here, the way that they do fireworks. People have their own shows up here that rival what cities put out.
Is it legal
Wow.
though, Steve? Where
Yeah.
is it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because they're on a reservation, so
It's highly illegal where I live, but there are at least
yeah.
probably 3 or 4 different, holidays every year.
Yeah.
And it's like a war zone. I mean, you'd think that our poor cats are inside. We have dual pane windows, but it's so loud that our cats are scared to death.
Yeah.
Especially one of them. And it's kind of sad to watch them. She's the one I'm thinking of is running around the house all low, real fast, trying to get away from whatever. And there's no way to get away from it because it's just explosions. You try to talk nice to them. It's like, oh, come over here. Papa Kitty will protect you or whatever.
So this is what my neighborhood sounds like right now.
Wow.
Wow.
And I can look through the trees and I see flashes and stuff like that. This goes on usually around the big holidays for a couple of days.
Wow. Well, I mean, I guess if it's legal, there's not a lot, to say about it.
Nothing you can do. I live on the Delaware-Pennsylvania line, and in Pennsylvania, it's legal to buy fireworks in huge quantities, but you can't set them off. So people come to Delaware, and you can't buy fireworks, but you can set them off. So people buy theirs in Pennsylvania. They come over, and I live on the state line, like 95. So people come right over, and there's a Home Depot parking lot that I live right next to. People from not even Delaware, they come and they just launch fireworks out of the Home Depot.
Right. Why don't those two states just get together and be honest with everybody and just
I
make
know,
it
it's weird.
or not? I mean, how stupid.
The
Somebody
fireworks
like,
shop
in the
set
middle
up
of
right on the
Pennsylvania.
border.
They just
Right.
buy it. They have this basement full of fireworks, and they can do nothing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like
Oh, my.
here's Rusty. Rusty lives in Mississippi, and he's saying fireworks are illegal inside the city limits, but people shoot them off anyway. And it's just like that. They're not even legal here at all in most counties in California. And
Well,
like I said, it's like a war zone.
you guys can't even have magnifying glasses. Can you out there in California anymore?
Magnifying
If you're
glasses. I've
wildlife.
never heard that one.
Well, like you take it outside, the sun concentrates on the magnifying glass and it heats things up. You guys can't even have those anymore, can you? With the fires you've been having?
No, I mean, I'm sorry. I know what a magnifying glass is. What I mean is I've never heard that it's illegal to have a magnifying glass. I don't think that's true, Steve.
No, I'm just saying because of all the fires you guys get. It's like
Yeah.
you drive too fast and you have a fire out there nowadays.
Well, if you look at the grass the wrong way, there's a wildfire. It's crazy.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the thing though about my state, and I think a lot of people don't realize that California really is just a big desert. We don't get a lot of rain at all. I mean,
Yeah.
there are certain parts of the state that get a significant amount of rain, but most of the state does not get a lot of precipitation, period. So all these wildfires, I mean, besides the fact that we've had a 20 or 30 year drought now too, and bark beetle infestations, which has killed a lot of trees, so there's a bunch of fuel sitting in these forests, and the undergrowth hasn't been burned out. Normally, like in a redwood forest, the undergrowth would burn out. The redwood trees hardly feel it. It actually helps them. It springs their seeds to drop actually when the fires come. But we build our houses in the middle of redwood forests so the forest can't burn, because if they burn, then people lose their houses. So we don't let them burn. And then a lightning strike happens, and the next thing you know, the whole damn forest is up in smoke for 2 or 3 weeks. It's crazy. Oh man. I think I'd like to live in an area where there's a lot of precipitation, because fireworks would be legal.
Move to Delaware.
Right? It would be green more often. The only thing I don't want is that the weather is going to suck, because it'll be humid all the time.
Well,
no matter what.
John, it's not actually that humid up here. It stays like 50 to 60% humidity, maybe at the most. But we get our 2.5 months of summer, and we get 2 weeks of spring. That's kind of what we get in Washington, and then everything else is rain.
Yeah. What part of Washington are you in, Steve?
I'm north of Seattle.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
but on the West Coast though?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just north of Seattle. It's a little town called Marysville.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So I get to see all those logging trucks and all the green and all the mountains and the snow-capped mountains and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of really neat.
Yeah. Sounds pretty.
Yeah. So this has been probably first 15 minutes we kind of stayed with the topic, and then the past hour we talked about Fox News dropping the ball. So I don't know.
What was the topic supposed to be?
So the topic was supposed to be our plans for 2021, but not anymore.
Well, the reason though, Drew, I think, is that it was just the two of us talking, and once we talked for 15 minutes, that pretty much summed up all the plans that we had.
Well, I mean, I don't care, but I just thought it was funny that we completely went off topic.
Yeah, that tends to happen. Well, we're just having a conversation, right? So
yeah.
I know I wasn't really worried about it. Were you worried? You should have told me that we should have stayed on topic.
No. I don't care. I just think it's funny that we just go off the path.
Yeah.
Because it seems when I record an interview, it's like we're talking about this one thing the whole time. But then right now it's different.
I do think that happens a lot with live streams, especially when there's more than one person. It just sort of goes wherever it goes.
Especially when I'm on it.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that, but I was trying to be nice.
Did you get to watch Drew earlier when Heath was on for almost? He wanted to make the new record, but he cut it just short.
I cut it
because the dog had to pee or something. Yeah. Dog's running around the house with his legs crossed, and Heath is trying to get off his computer to let the dog outside.
So what is the current train live stream record so far?
Well, if we're talking about the one that I did, which is the longest one I know of, is like 4 hours and 3 minutes.
GFW Trains did do a 24-hour stream recently for their 2,000 subscriber special.
So, I don't think we can beat that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, don't put it past John to give it the old go.
I probably could. I probably could beat that, but I don't want to be up for 24 hours. I can't do that.
If I ever reach 2,000, then
you'll do 24.
Yeah, I'll do 24. You can hold me to.
Look at the comments, Drew. Fred wants to know if you talked to Rod Stewart yet.
Well, I reached out on a events booking site, and I heard no response. So CA&P Railroad.
Right?
Hey.
I told you we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Good morning.
And he's not
Hey.
driving his truck.
Oh, I've been all over the place. I went from driving the truck. I came back on Heath live stream. I was at the club layout. And now, Harry, I'm back in the truck again.
Well, welcome back. Long time no see.
I know. It's been such a long, long time.
So you live down near Drew? You posted in the chat earlier?
So I officially live in West Virginia. That's where my house is. But because I work the Northeast, I use my mom address for everything. And she lives about 45, 50 minutes from the Delaware state line and about an hour and a half from the New York state line. So she's like almost like smack dab in the middle of New Jersey.
As I'm trying to convince more people to go to the Greenberg show at the Chase Center. So maybe if you're in the area, this year.
Chase, which one's the Chase Center? That's the one in
It's Wilmington.
Wilmington.
Yeah.
So my club tried to do that one, but that show always falls in like the week after we just came from another show.
Oh.
Because we're the Northeast corridor, and like that show always has bad timing with us every time.
I get it. My club, that's like the one show we do. So I mean, like it's us and First Date comes, but every year their layout gets smaller and smaller. So
Yeah,
who knows?
Is
And
it-
1 year, what?
Is it HO scale?
Yeah, it's all HO. New Jersey O scalers come, and there's an N scaler group that comes whose layout is huge. So I forget their name.
Only reason I'm asking is because we do partner with a lot of other clubs at some of the bigger shows we do
Mhm.
to make it just one big layout, small sections here and there. Let me come back in a minute. I got a call coming through.
Okay.
All right.
His audio
it's
is
a
getting
popular man.
Yeah.
Chief got a call during my show earlier too.
Uh-oh.
Gotta take
So-
care of this, man.
Is it common for clubs to have a separate modular layout that they use? Because I see layout, like, I always thought that was the norm because that's what my club does. We pull our layout out for one show a year, maybe two, like occasionally two. But then I listen to other people and their layout is set up in like a warehouse, but it's modular and meant to be taken apart. So
I think it depends upon the club. Like out here, we've got a couple of different clubs. A couple of them are strictly modular, and so like every train show you go to, they're there because that's their time to set up. But one of the clubs that I was in for a while, the Boeing Employees Club, they have a hard layout. They have an O scale module layout, and they also have an HO scale module layout. And they usually take the HO scale module layout to different shows when they go out. So I think it really depends upon what the club's doing.
Because I mean, our club has a large membership, but it has a small, like a group of people devoted to each thing. Not by like force, but everybody just has their own niche. So some people do wiring, whatever. But there's no group of people who are like, hey, we're the modular layout people. And I see some, like a lot of times that's the case with clubs. But I don't know, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, in my area, there's N-Track, or there's 3 N-Track clubs that usually join together. And there's a permanent layout club. And the permanent layout club will go to the shows and run on the N-Track club's layout. And then when there's not a show, the N-Track club guys will come to the, the
that's
other
fair.
club. So they have a reciprocity agreement or whatever it's called, to go back and forth. So you're a member of one club or the other in general. You're not paying dues twice, but you're covering both parts.
That's pretty cool, too, for the price of one.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
So you know what you do? I'm guessing they probably already figured this out, but I was going to say what you do is you pay for the membership at the cheaper one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the way to
I'm
go.
sure they've got sliding scales, John. But
Well,
Well,
they
because
probably
modular
charge the
doesn't
same
take up
amount,
the building,
right?
they'll only have to pay $20 a year, and the
Well,
other one's
maybe they have it
$150.
balanced out. Maybe they already thought of that.
Or you get them to bid, like you go to one and say, they said I can get it for $20. Will you do it for 15?
You put the clubs against each other.
Yeah, have a reverse eBay auction on them, It's a race to the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Go out and
Speaking
start
of-
interviewing the clubs. Hi, so what do I get for coming into this club? What am I going to get out of this? Do I get a button, a hat? Those guys over there are going to give me a jacket. So
I have a friend who he's big into modular layouts. He's in college and he belongs to like 3 modular clubs. I think he has 1 module for one of them, but he goes, he was sending me these texts. He was trying to figure out which train shows I go to. And I'm like, oh, I'm not a modular guy. I had this one club, just the one layout. He's like, I want to take you to see some of these because I've never seen in person those huge piece by piece layouts. And I think it would be really cool once COVID ends to get some video of it, make a video about it because I've never seen it before. So
I did a couple of layout tours. Actually, I think 3 layout tours on modular layouts. If you want to see how someone else did them, you're welcome to go watch them.
Well, I've seen them, but I've never seen them in person.
I think one of the most amazing ones that I ever saw when Portland had the NMRA show down here, and the Northwest division of NMRA is kind of weird because it's like takes part of the Northwest and Alaska, and then there's Canada, and Canada's kind of broken up a little bit differently. But this was when the oil fields up in Calgary were going nuts. The Calgary Club came all the way down from Calgary and brought down their layout. Oh my God, that modular layout was amazing. They had helicopters flying. They had an operating container yard with those Helgen cranes. They had like 3 of those that were working. They had LEDs and everywhere. And I mean, and they all had matching shirts and all that. It was an amazing. There was just so much stuff on that layout that they did. And it was all modular, and they trucked it all the way down from Calgary, which is a pretty good trek down. That was probably one of the coolest modular ones I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd like modular layouts. Actually, I posted this on John's last video about modular layouts, but I wanted a fixed layout because I thought that was the way like real modelers modeled, was on fixed, layouts or whatnot. But having modules and building modules is great. And like we mentioned GFW earlier, it's like I'm trying to convince him to keep working on his T-Track module. Like when he goes off to college, it's like to be able to take his T-Track module with him is going to be a lot easier than trying to take his, basement O-scale layout with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lot of advantages to modular layouts. You just have to, I guess, sort of figure out what standard they're doing in your area.
So can you build it and then just take it to a show and it fits in like all these stems off? Like, how would that?
It depends. The Fremo guys seem to be implying that you can just bring your module to the layout and they'll just integrate it. But like with the T-Track guys, I know they want to know ahead of time which modules you're bringing so that they can map it all out and figure out exactly, where your module is going to fit in.
Well, part of it is you just have to follow the standards for the modules, right? There's a lot of places that, you have, a lot of them are two rail main. So you have to have your rails so far from the front, and then your rails have to be so far apart so that you can just drop it in. And then I know that there's been some people that have a module on either side of a bigger module, and those modules on the ends hook up to different modules. So they'll know what the club standards are for their modules, and their like real one that they're doing is in between these 2 like bridge modules, so that they bring the bridge module so that they can fit onto the other module groups and all that kind of stuff.
There is actually now a standard to go from N-Track to Fremo N-Scale.
Mm.
So they'll go from the 3 tracks of N-Track to the single track of Fremo, so that the 2 different standards can kind of go to a club and do an even bigger layout, which I think is really
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, I have to say, Heath, last week when we were doing that panel discussion that you're talking about with the guys from the Fremo groups, I was surprised that they said they don't plan it. I was shocked. But I think it goes to show how open a modular standard Fremo is, that they're able to do it that way.
Yeah.
Because if it's built to standard, it'll work. Period. I mean, it works. It's a 2x4.
The single track standard, so it is definitely easier. The T-Track standard that I follow, the wiring standard was done for DC. So like doing it as a DCC layout is actually kind of complicated. And for some odd reason, they're not updating the standard. It just sort of, becomes something for people to figure out. Whereas I think Fremo looks great, man. Fremo to me is like so much more realistic in general.
Well, I can tell you that the Fremo layout tour I did at the National Train Show last year, or actually in 2019, that was in Salt Lake City. That's also a video on the channel. The modeling on that layout was excellent. I mean, I got down on the layout and showed very close-up shots, and I was just amazed at how good those guys are at modeling.
But the other thing that's neat about it that I've seen in a couple of times, it's like the nice thing about modules is that you can actually have the different levels of modelers when you're doing modules. Because I remember seeing this great logging scene and all that kind of stuff, and it went into a farm scene, and then there was a dinosaur theme with dinosaurs coming out of the La Brea tar pits, and one of them, there was kind of a Godzilla thing. One of them had a train car in his mouth, and it was all N-gauge. But it was kind of cool because you have this flow that you can do anything you want, and they'll plug it in, and other people can see some of the different things that people do, instead of just the hardcore kind of realistic modeling. Some of them do futuristic, and I mean, I think that's where the first time I saw that tornado, I'm sure you guys have seen the tornado module.
Yeah.
That's just that's a crazy little module that you're like, okay, this is kind of different, but it gives other people a chance to come in. And I think, when you talk about stuff like that, about, how people are getting in and how do you keep people interested in the hobby and all that, well, part of it is you got to let them do what they want to do.
Yeah.
It's fun too. I was gonna say it's fun too when you don't have the space to really do something bigger, and then to create a module where you can then connect it to somebody else's and then actually run a longer train through it. It's kind of fun. I mean, you look at people that do take their modules out into their backyards and do videos and photography of their modules. But then to actually be able to sort of run a long train through it is I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
I know that layout.
On a hard time in the chat.
Yeah. I was going to say it's kind of hard to promote when there's 10 viewers. Okay. So,
yeah. Hey, we had a peak of 16 viewers, which is a lot better than 2 from 4 months ago. So, I mean,
yeah. No,
big time.
I was making fun of myself on Heath's show this morning because I wasn't even going to call in. I mean, I was just sitting around in my sweats at my kitchen.
His hair was a mess.
Yeah, I was making excuses. Oh, I didn't do my hair,
This is why I emailed him ahead of time. I said, "Come on, look good, look good."
It looked good. That's a tall order for me. But I ended up calling in, and I was asking Heath about, because he had some kind of a script running or something on his chat, where every couple of minutes a new thing popped up. Hey, support us on Patreon, or hey, here's the PayPal link, or hey, here's, there's all these different messages that he programmed in. And I was asking, because I'm terrible at self-promotion. I just don't think to do that. and I want to get that same program, that same script for what is it? Something Stream.
Streamlabs CloudBot. It's a chat bot.
Yeah,
service.
Streamlabs. That's
And I
Streamlabs.
use Streamlabs on. There's Streamlabs. There's Stream Elements. There's Nightbot. There's a couple different ones. I'm just finding that the Streamlabs one's working really well for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna get with you and find out how to do it. So one of these days.
When you have some free time.
You mean like, yeah, exactly.
Let's see. He's back. I don't know if he's there.
Oh.
Oh well. I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
Yeah, sorry. So in case you're wondering, that's what we were talking about. It was kind of an inside joke from earlier in the chat there. So, but I probably should go though, guys. I've been on here for another hour and a half today.
Oh.
I had no plans, literally not a single plan to even be on the computer today, let alone do 3 hours worth of live streaming with you guys. Or I don't know how long I was on yours earlier, Heath, but it was a while. I think you were there too, weren't you, Steve, on the chat?
Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah, because I didn't have to. It was kind of funny. I didn't have to work on a Friday, so I'll sometimes get on Heath's stuff if I'm sitting around just working on garbage stuff. But a lot of times I have meetings during the daytime when so I can't get on things because it's kind of hard to have a meeting and then go live stream. So
Yeah, I forgot it was Friday. I mean, I'm here thinking it's Sunday or something, just because holidays or whatever. Yesterday was a big deal, so it felt like Saturday, and today's the day after Saturday, so it's Sunday to me. That's exciting. I get another weekend.
Yeah, it was funny because I did my Friday morning stream, and then afterwards I went and I saw Vinny had a reminder for his show, and I was like, wait a second, is it Friday? What's like? But so John, you don't have a layout at home, but we've been talking about all this modular stuff. So are you gonna get into modular model railroading?
Oh, I thought you knew that. I have a module. It's just the bench.
I didn't know that.
It's just the bench work and the foam. So it's ready to go. I just have to have the time to do something with it.
What standard are you building to?
I haven't decided. That's what I mean. I don't. My thing is know what you're doing before you do it. We were talking about that earlier when we were in the context of video production. And I'm the same way with everything that I do practically. I want to know what I'm doing before I do it. Otherwise, it turns into a much bigger project when it doesn't need to be and takes more time, etc. So I need to decide what it's going to be. I need to decide, do I want to make it a Fremo N, or do I know I'm sure it's going to be a Fremo standard if I make it a standard at all.
Yeah.
So it'll either be Fremo N or HO Fremo, or it'll be just something for photography that I can just set up outside to take pictures of stuff outside. Because I do like the sun. I think that the sun is our best light source.
Yeah.
So about lighting, one thing I've come to appreciate is less lighting from more artificial, less lighting from more sources as opposed to more lighting from less sources. Is that, what do you think?
Technically, there's only one source of light. It was the sun.
Well,
So technically, if you're
artificially.
If
Of
you're
course, the sun's the
duplicating-
best. But if how I am now, if I had no lights, that would be pitch black. So
Well, that's why they call it a key light and a fill light and a backlight, is because you still have a main light source, which is your key light, and then the
Right.
other ones sort of fill in the shadows.
because how I do is I have two LED panel lights. If I'm in my room, I have another panel light just shining behind me, or else it's grainy. And then sometimes I have a ring light if it's noticeably cold lighting to warm it up. So I mean that's just kind of how I work, but it would probably be better just to have a big box light or whatever you call a photography.
I see what you're asking.
Yeah, so I have a key light right there, and then I have a softbox over here.
Yep.
To sort of give it a little more shape. And then I've got obviously the lights on the background.
So
right
do you
there,
use
but-
softbox or umbrella? Which would you recommend for video?
I don't have enough space for umbrellas, so I use softboxes. So
Gotcha.
it's
The
more of a-
umbrella kind of does the same thing as the
It does.
softbox if you're using it right. So
Mhm.
you
How
want the
many
lights as close as possible, so just
Yeah.
outside of camera framing.
Mhm.
how many lights do you think I have in the space I'm using? And do my light does my video look okay to you?
Yeah, it looks. Yours always looks fine.
How many lights do you think I have going on here?
Well, you showed me, and if I remember, like on you, it was just one panel light.
You don't remember.
Oh, well, then I don't.
Yeah, although I can turn off these other lights that I have over here that are making the fill in the background. And
Mhm.
this one light, that's the one you're thinking of, that I have up here would probably be good enough to light what we're doing here. You don't really, it depends on the camera you're using too, but you don't necessarily need a whole ton of lights necessarily. It depends on what effect you're going for. When we started the stream an hour and 40 minutes ago, it was still bright outside. So there was some ambient light coming from out here. And I didn't want that to really mess with the lights that I had going on here. So I turned on all the lights that I have on right now. I actually have two lights over here with umbrellas. And then I have that one little thing that I showed you that it's only about that big,
Mhm.
pointed up at the ceiling over here. But as the sun went down, I don't think I need these fill lights on anymore because that one light right there will make it look pretty good. This particular webcam runs pretty hot. Like it's pretty bright,
Mhm.
the brightness on it. But you're right though. I mean, I like what you do. Yours looks good. I mean,
Oh, your lighting always looks good.
yeah, the background's not distracting like mine is. I think I hate my background. It's always distracting to me.
I just have a white wall, so I feel like somewhere between me and John is the sweet spot.
I was going to mention that to you, Drew, that I think that for you, well, really for anybody, it's not necessarily the number of lights that matters as much as making sure that whatever light sources you're using, if you have more than one light source, that they match temperature wise. Because if you don't match temperature wise, your camera will get confused and it won't be sure which light it should be calibrating. It's the white balance for.
Mhm.
So if the wall behind you is truly white, like white paint out of a can that went on is white,
Mhm.
then it looks to me like you're mixed color lights right now. Like you
Really?
you must have some incandescent light going.
I do. I have LED panels, and then I have an incandescent light just in the room. Like,
Isn't it funny? I could tell that just from looking at it, that there's incandescent mixed in. If you turn your incandescent light off and both of your panel lights are the same color or the same color temperature, the white wall will probably look white and not.
Oh, wow. And that's what I'm
I
on
have
my
different colored lights though. Like my lights back here are actually a different color temperature than these lights. But I don't use auto white balance. I actually took a white piece of paper and sat it here and dialed in the white balance on this camera so that I looked right no matter what that was.
You can do that if you're using a camera that lets you manually adjust your white balance. I'm just using a webcam, some stupid piece of crap from Amazon, made in China, meant to be something like a Logitech. You know what I'm saying?
like with the GoPro, you can adjust the white balance. So what would you make it cooler then until this is white?
I would look at the panels, find out what color temperature they project, and set it to that color temperature.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you know what color temperature they project? I'm guessing they're probably fairly cool.
This one's off. I have a third one in here. This is 1,000.
It can't be 1,000 Kelvin. It's 1,000 watts.
No, it's not 1,000.
Oh wait,
1,000. That's like
that gotta be watts.
It's
yeah, that's
5,500
lumens. My
probably.
bad.
Yeah, it's probably 5,500 or in the 5,000 to 6,000 range.
Yeah, it doesn't say it on there then.
Does it look white to you when you look at it?
Oh, it's
White.
it's surface mount LEDs, just like 70 of them, cheap from China. So it's pretty white.
Yeah, it's probably like a 5,500 or 6,000. So if you calibrate your GoPro, are you using your GoPro to do your stream?
So using the GoPro from the webcam, I
Mhm.
tried, and then the USB-C I have isn't long enough.
Oh,
So it would have been like an awkward angle. So I need to order a longer one.
right. So the answer is no.
Yeah.
So you're just using a regular webcam? Is that it?
This is my computer camera.
Yeah. So it's a webcam.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the key is just to make sure that whatever light you're using matches the other light if you're on an automatic white balance.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't, it's going to give you sort of odd coloring, like a white wall that should be white. If you
Yeah.
look at orange.
Hmm.
If you look at my picture here, this is the actual colors. This is an off-white wall with white trim, just like it looks like. And it's because the lights I'm using are closely matched. I don't think they're precise, but they're very close. I think the lights back over here that I have with my umbrellas are close to 5,000. Like when I got them, I don't know how this is possible, but when I got them, they said they were 5,000, and I always calibrated to 5,000, and it looked good.
Hmm.
And then this one up above the thing, I think is 5,000. But the ones on the umbrellas, when I calibrate now, tell me that they're like 4,650.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that, Heath? Do they change over time? Do they change their temperature because of the diode wearing out or something like that?
Definitely LEDs will change over time as they degrade.
even
Yeah, absolutely.
Even incandescents degrade. All those things will degrade over time and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I did not know that LED bulbs change color temperature. I should probably replace these things. Although, I mean, nowadays, because I use these for my podcast and I use these for anything I green screen here and anything that I do on my workbench. So product spotlights, like this morning, I had a product spotlight come out, and I manually balance every time I do those now so that the color's right.
Do you have a color meter that you balance to?
Sorry?
Do you have a color meter?
No, I use a white sheet of
Just a white
paper.
card.
I know it's white, and like what you just described for what you're doing here. So the point is they match now. So when I do my videos on the workbench or whatever, I just calibrate it manually because I'm using one of the 4K cameras that goes full manual. So
yeah, I would argue they don't have to match. As long as you're prepared for whatever you're doing, you can use lights that don't match.
yeah,
And you can use them like this light in the corner. It's blue here.
Yeah.
But because of the way it's all set up, it looks purple. So it's like I'm basically doing it on purpose to have it look purple instead of blue. But that's just because I'm setting the white balance.
Yeah. So do you guys want to know a little fun fact on airplanes? So,
Sure.
Oh.
So I work with Boeing. All right. I work at the Boeing company. And one of the big things that came out was what they called their sky interior. And what they did was on their sky interior, all the different airplanes and stuff like that have different colorations on the inside and all that. Well, Boeing came up and said, it really cost us a lot of money to make different colored panels. So when they went through their sky interior, they came up and they said, you know what? We're going to make one color panel and we're going to put LED lights on the rest of the airplane. So you can have any color panel you want.
Yep.
So they just use the light to manipulate what it is that you're actually seeing. So everything is one color, but it's whatever color the airline wants. And it's really kind of funny because I got to go through their lab. You want to talk about color labs. You get an airline in there and, we were talking on one of the other live streams the other day about, is that really the real red? So customers come in and they spend a lot of time adjusting their lights so that their fabrics on their seats and all that look the color that they're supposed to look.
Wow.
So it is really kind of amazing when you start talking about lights and how you do things. It's like with Drew, the way that Drew's set up right now, if he moved his couch just a little away from that wall and put in a backlight that was white, he could have a white background back there. And nobody'd ever see it. You could just do a straight up white light. Or blue
Or you
light
could
or
put
whatever.
disco lights you could put some disco lights back there.
The panel lights I did buy, they came with like the plastic film that you can put on, so it's red, blue, and yellow, so
Yeah.
in theory, get a red background. I don't know.
Yeah.
When I used to work I used to work part time in the theaters. I never knew there were so many different colors to one color.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, just open the third filing cabinet. About halfway in, you'll see the reds. Pull out the whole book." I'm like, "The whole book of reds? Why?" Yeah, there is like 100 different shades of just red. I'm like, "So which one do you want again?"
Well, that's like I saw a video from Pierce Manufacturing. There's like, I think that they said that they have 375 shades of fire engine red.
Oh,
Wow.
You know,
That's
a
excessive.
red fire truck is, yeah, there's like 357 fire engine reds or something like that. Some ridiculous amount of color, you know, on the different shades and all that. It's amazing what they do.
Yeah, and if you get into a lot of color science stuff, and you get into the, of course now my mind's completely blanking, but you know, there's like Rec 709 and Rec 2020, and there's all these different sort of you know, color palettes and different stuff, and it's really pretty crazy once you really get into it. I used to work for Barco that did a lot of like projectors and stuff like that. We also did LED displays and stuff, so like color palette was really important. And a lot of these LED lights aren't full spectrum lights. So you may put a certain color in front of them and you think you're getting all the colors of the rainbow out of this light, but it's actually missing some because of the way an LED has a spiked color pattern, whereas you know, more of a tungsten lamp has more of a curve. So it actually covers more of the color palette. So it's kind of amazing how many different, you know, aspects there are to it.
I remember seeing those drawings. It was like this, right?
Yep.
It's just that
Yep.
one block.
That peak. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Or
Yeah,
or
there'll usually be
blocks or
peaks
whatever.
at the colors. Yeah, there'll be like a peak at blue and a peak at red and a peak at green, and they try and balance those peaks in LED to get a full spectrum
Right.
light. But the black body curve, that's what I was trying to remember. Which is your color temperature line, how your color temperature goes from like 2700 to 5500. That line is the black body curve. And as you adjust along the curve, your red shifts. I love that stuff. I'm a little bit of a dork when it comes to that stuff.
I'm a little bit of a dork even when it doesn't come to that stuff. Oh, did I say that out loud?
oops.
I was
And I think we
trying
all
to
know.
get as much lighting as I could for as cheap as possible. So whatever's
Yeah, You
top
know,
on Amazon.
you know, Drew, there are some light panels that are adjustable that I use for all of my layout tour videos nowadays because I learned the hard. Well, not I learned because it was the only thing that was available at the time that did what I wanted it to do. Was I got some light panels, big LED light panels. They were very expensive at the time. This was like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe more, and they were just 5,500 Kelvin. And that's all I could get that would work because they projected a lot of light and they worked on stands and had barn doors and all that stuff. Well, great. So I show up to a layout and the guy has compact fluorescents, which run at 4,100. They don't mix. You know, I mean, you'll be white balancing all day if you try to light something like that. And then half the picture looks orange because the 4,100 looks orange under the 55. If that's your major source of light, it looks awful. And if they're using tungsten or any kind of an incandescent, it's even more orange. It's worse because those are even lower in the Kelvin rating. So at some point, I learned about these adjustable lights, and it has a little dial on the back that lets you tune in whatever Kelvin you want from 3,200 to 5,400 or 5,500. So what I do when I get to a layout now, the first thing I do always is look at the lights and figure out what they are. I'm like a human Kelvin machine. I can tell you if I walk in a room, what kind of lights they're using and close to what the temperature is, because I've dealt with this so much in layout rooms. So I'll figure it out. Like, okay, so you're using CFLs. Those are usually about 4,000 or 4,100, something like that, or 3,700 if it's the really ugly, gaudy, terrible ones. And so I'll set my lights to match what the ambient light is. And then I'll use mine to fill, to make because there's always shadows. When people build layouts, they don't build layouts for video. They build layouts to run trains, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they don't care about something like, oh, well, it's a little bit backlit. The human eye is an amazing camera, and it does things that real cameras, mechanical or whatever cameras cannot do, period. So I show up with one of those kind of cameras, and my camera's just like, I can't see this because it's backlit. Well, you can't tell because your eye doesn't see that way. But I have to adjust now. I need to put my panels, to fill that backlighting where the shadow is on the front of the layout, for example. So I was going to say, if you want, and I'll have to look it up. I'm sure I have it somewhere in my history from ordering stuff, that I can send you a link to get these same kind of panels where you can adjust the color and you can adjust them to match whatever other ambient lighting you're using, and it will make your. Sorry,
This is a cheap soft panel LED thing, and it's got a little adjustment on it that I can, change it to make it look. That's the
brightness. Yeah. There you go.
There, there it's now 2700-ish or something like that, and you can see how I look sick.
Red. There's something wrong with you now. Well, there's something wrong with you anyway, but there's something worse wrong with you now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but anyway, if you want, I could email.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, send me a message if you want me to email you those. And they weren't terribly expensive. It's more Chinese stuff from Amazon, but they do what you need it to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I use those, like I said, for all of my layout tours now. I use those for the model railroading with Jack Burgess series because they're small, they're easy to pack up and put in the car and just take with me over there. They don't take up a lot of space in the room that we use.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, they do what I need them to do. And probably if they're good enough for me, they're good enough for most people that are doing this for YouTube anyway.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Well,
I mentioned that. I'm gonna go, guys. I need to go in and eat. It's like 7:00 here, and I didn't get to eat dinner yet. So,
well, I'm actually
what
at
are your
the
plans
same.
for your layout? Come on, Drew. Keep asking John questions so he can't leave.
No, I was about to say I'm in the same situation right now. So I mean,
well, we started
to break up the party,
right? We started the stream, Drew. So we're the old timers here.
Yeah, we're 2 hours in. I think we've put in our time.
I know, but you're the host though, and you got 4 other people now, or 3 other people that want to talk to you.
We've had a conversation. We've been conversing.
Converse is a shoe.
It is a shoe.
You got it right, John. Conversing. You got it right.
Hey, I said it both ways, so I could be if somebody's watching this and they say it another way, I could be inclusive of them.
Oh, you're so considerate. That's why I say happy holidays, and people think that's it's a war on Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows,
John? It's good talking to you twice today.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
And if you know what,
actually, I've talked to Keith and Steve twice today. The only person I haven't talked to twice yet is Drew.
Yeah, you've talked to all of us twice. Yeah, except that's funny. But what you could do is, now I forgot what I was going to say. I hate when that happens. Getting older really sucks. You know that? Oh, I know what
Getting older is not for the elderly.
Yeah, I know what I was going to say. I was going to say, if you count the stream earlier and what you've done here now on this stream, you broke the record.
Oh, yeah.
No. We're not going. No. You still have the record of 4 hours and 3 minutes.
4 hours.
You brought up a good point earlier. George wasn't on the stream for 24 hours.
That's
so
true.
It doesn't count. So somebody needs to find out the longest amount of time he was on the stream.
Yep. But
I don't know.
Is part of the record. Keith is part of the record for the longest stream with a tree on it.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah. Anyway,
I thought about making like a tree video, and then I try to look at it, and I'm like, there's nothing on here that doesn't reveal personal information, so that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're talking about your tree out front with your train going around it.
Oh, I was talking about my Christmas tree, but
Oh, your
so
Christmas tree.
that's
Yeah,
the other thing. I filmed it today, and I'm looking at the footage, and I'm like, it doesn't show my house, it doesn't show my driveway or this street. I'm just looking. I'm like, trying to keep it
Yeah.
here. So I'm wondering, like, just by showing it, like, can that be used as like locating information? Like, that was my one hesitation.
are you thinking people are going to come after you or what?
I don't know. Like, I don't want that.
Oh,
Because
I don't
there's
want
so
that
many
either.
ways people can find you now, like reverse image search. I'm like, if somebody looks this up and then they can find it on like Google Street View, I'm like, maybe I'm just I probably am paranoid, but
Based
Well-
on that tree, a certain angle with a certain shade, I know where you live.
Right.
yeah.
Right. Thanks, Heath. That reminds me that I'm gonna go now because I'm gonna go because I gotta go. You know what I mean? Speaking of long streams,
I'm waiting for the secret producer to come behind you and just drag your chair off of screen.
oh no,
Unplug your computer.
John,
seriously, she
John, you
probably
gotta go
would
walk
rather
the
have
walk
me
for
out
that.
here.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, Steve. I
You
think
have
I
to go
stepped
walk
on
the
you,
dog,
but
John.
I'm gonna go. So you guys can have it. You guys can have the stream all to yourselves.
Uh-oh.
Thanks for inviting me, Drew. I'm glad I was able to come.
Thanks for coming on like 2 hours notice. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. You know, it's all good, and I enjoy it.
go.
I enjoy talking to you guys. So,
And on the 4-month annual live stream.
right?
Yeah.
Audio,
It seems like
amigos.
John-
Adios.
Seems like John has to put Drew on one of his live streams now. It'd be kind of nice to have
I've
Drew
called
on
in
your
before.
calendar.
I've called in before.
We did. Drew was on the one that was 4 hours and 3 minutes. As a matter of fact,
I was there to set the record, the original record. Whoever claims they broke it, we can have a talk.
Yep, that's right. Bye, guys.
That's
Gotta
good.
go.
Hey, that was
Oh,
pretty
that
good.
is so
We kept him
funny.
on for like an extra hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah,
you-
my plan was to go for an hour or less, and yeah, that didn't work out.
How's that going, Drew?
Yeah, we're 2 hours in.
I
My-
actually ended up falling asleep. I missed Rodney's, I missed Vinny's things as I was sleeping, but I'm glad you didn't get off after an hour, or I would have missed yours too.
My mic broke halfway through this. My stand kept. I don't know if you guys heard it, but I'm wearing mic or my headphones straight from the mic so I can hear it. And the stand, I don't have a vibration thing, and so all I heard, I just moved it.
Oh,
and for,
vibration
like,
out,
a solid
yeah.
10 seconds, I just heard that, and I don't know if it came through, but I just took it off and I'm holding it.
I noticed you were holding it. I didn't understand why you were holding it.
Yeah, I mean it's not heavy, so it still has the peg from the stand on it. It's not coming
So,
off.
Drew,
whatever.
did you already tell everybody what your 2021 goals were for this year?
Consistency.
So not a live stream every 4 months, but maybe a little more frequently than that.
Well, that too, but I mean just interviews, because I set a schedule on Facebook, on the club page, and I was like, I'm gonna have this video out this day, this video out this day, and then I had midterms spread out over 2 weeks to quote make them easier over online school, but that's not what happened. So
Ever is.
I got
Yep.
a little pushed back, and I got one video out. So who knows? But try to hopefully set some lower goals and exceed them instead of setting some higher goals and not really get close. So who knows?
I
Always,
don't know if you saw.
always aim high.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Robert Darby said, "Hey Drew, what is your club's name?"
Oh, Northern Delaware Model Railroad Club. I'll put that in the chat. I'm glad somebody has been here. Not since this channel was named Northern Delaware Model Railroad Club. Those were dark times.
I like the rebranding. I mean, you've got to,
You came up with a name.
Well, your plans for the channel changed. So you
Well, yeah.
you thought you were just going to be shooting videos at your club, and that's all
Yeah.
it was going to be about. So
Mhm. And then I just showed my face because I ran out of ideas for at-home content. So,
I really
and then
like
it
the
completely
fact
changed.
that I like the fact that Keith is so confident on his soldering that he's doing it during a live stream, and he hasn't hurt himself yet.
Look,
Yeah.
the thing is, y'all can't see it all the way, so it's perfect.
yeah, Steve, what you don't know is that Keith has actually soldered this 5 times now today, and he's
know.
working on his 6th time. So
It's still
you know,
the same
it's
wire.
getting better.
Hey,
each
look.
time.
the one part.
It's a funny story to that. So I had a variable not transistor. Hold on,
Potentiometer.
Potentiometer. There we go. Brain fart. I had one of these in a train car. I had a battery power maintenance away train, and I went to go fix it, make the wires look better, so it stopped trying to pop the shell off. And the moment I went to go solder it, I fried it.
Oh no.
So I had to rip the whole thing out the car, I ordered a new one, and it took a month and a half for this thing to show up in California.
Oh, that sucks.
I'm like, yeah, I ordered like right for Thanksgiving, and it just got here like 2 days ago.
Wow.
Ah.
I burn
Was
up.
it, I was gonna say, was it the fault of the USPS? Because I like blaming them these days, or was it more
Oh, yeah.
just that it took a while to ship it? Like they
Nah,
didn't get
it
it
was-
shipped out.
It was the post office. It was definitely them.
Yeah.
It was in Connecticut for 8 days.
Yeah.
I've had
like,
stuff in Baltimore for the past 20 days. So
Yep.
I don't know how that happened.
Wow.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
wife had-
December
my wife had
7th, I
package
shipped a
in-
package.
Yeah, my wife had a package in Seattle for like 2 weeks. It just sat in
Wow.
Seattle for 2 weeks.
I don't know if it's a lot of people have had this, but I have 2 packages from different destinations. Each of them completely went dark on December 20th.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it was more than that because they're completely different parts of the country. So I don't know if that was a big problem that happened.
I just had a package go from New Jersey to Chicago that was supposed to come right here to New York.
Mm.
But, Chris from Go Via Go Home wants to know, Keith, what are you working on?
Oh,
All right. So I made a video about this train that I had it for about 20 years. They've been my guinea pig for every little thing I have tried. So now it's becoming a battery power train that I'm working on. And I've got it to work. I'm going to go make the wires look better. Because I use this guy, which is like a battery pack for like model airplanes.
Mhm.
So it would last about a good 2 or 3 hours. And I'm only using half an amp in this thing.
How does
And-
that battery fit in that locomotive?
Oh, don't. There's a boxcar for it.
Ah, okay.
I ain't that crazy. So it pulls a boxcar behind it, and then behind the boxcar is a track cleaning car. And I made it for shows. Guys, all right, we need something to clean the tracks while we're all trying to do everything else. This be perfect. And as soon as I came up with the idea, COVID started, and they canceled all the train shows.
Yeah.
So they got all this got put on the back burner.
mm.
Dead rail in HO scale is pretty
Pretty popular.
well.
Yeah,
It's popular, but it's still pretty rare too.
Well, I feel like it's compare like even a year ago to this year. It's really like nobody thought it could be done, and then more people are like, "Oh, I have a way. I have a way." Like so many people have different method, like this system. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I got the idea. G scale. There's so many compact radio control things, and
Yeah.
I use the Pico one for the battery thing. I just leave going around the tree in my front yard 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
That could fit easily inside an HO scale box car. Fit a battery in there. That would be easy, just with a like a car remote. It's one of those, and it just has throttle up, throttle down, and then 2 functions. So
I think people's complaints that I've heard is I wanted to create a camera car for N scale, and everyone was like, "But But then you have to run the same boxcar behind your locomotive all the time. And what if you're doing operations? Like you can't, you don't want to run this thing. And it's kind of like, yeah, but the advantages of, being able to have a camera locomotive and, I mean, like, I think the advantages outweigh the others, but people think it won't be commercially viable for that reason.
The prototypical thing I could see is you see those gondola cars with the snowplow mounted on the front, and prototypically you'd see those kind of kept on the front. So I can see that being like the one way that you'd have it continuously on the front.
So
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's what.
this guy,
Yeah, that's the Yeah, I want one of those cameras.
I found this thing
that's so-
on eBay, I think it is, and I got this because my original cat ride camera, I can't literally put it on the front of a locomotive, so so I have a dummy engine for it. I cut the front end off, and put the camera in. But I'm like, at shows and stuff, I don't want really to see the camera. I want to like put it on a TV and make it live stream. So I got this. Only problem is I can't figure out how to make it go live. It only goes to an app on the phone.
Yeah, you need to sniff the app for the IP address so that you can grab the IP address to put it on your screen. The other option though is there are some apps for your phone where you can mirror your phone to your computer and you can transfer it that way as well. But yeah, that's the reason I haven't bought it either yet, is because most of them go to an app on the phone, and it is kind of a pain to try and get them. But talk to Bernard out at Silicon Valley Lines. He's the one that turned me on to that style of camera, and that's what they use for their remote ops sessions, is that style camera.
Really? All right. Yeah, because I got it and I was like, yo, this would be perfect. And I realized what it takes to get it to work. I'm like, all right, you're another project. Going to the side for now.
That's what I'm working on. There's this there's our club, and then next, like a mile away, there's like a 7.5-inch gauge nonprofit.
Cool.
Nice. And they reached out to me, and they're like, "Hey, could you help us like make some promotional videos?" And I'm like, "Sure." So that's hopefully going to be some cool stuff to put on the channel. But they also wanted me. They're like, "Hey, could you take a GoPro and put it on a TV live?" And I have no idea. So
you can.
Could I have some advice, please?
Same sort of thing. If you look online, there are ways to do it. But basically, what is it called? NGINX. I don't remember exactly what it stands for, but it'll allow you to connect the GoPro directly to a computer, and then you just have the HDMI out of the computer going to your TV. But Fred Wild's pointing out Silicon Valley Lines has a page all about how they made their camera cars, and that's definitely something to check out. But with your GoPro 9, you know what you could just do? You could just
they want it like permanent. They want it like I was even thinking like use the GoPro Nano that came out a couple years ago that has like 2 buttons on it, because it's 3-rail O scale, so there's plenty of room.
If it's permanent, I wouldn't use a GoPro. I would get like a camera that like Keith has. Yeah, look up Silicon Valley Lines camera cars, and I would look at what they've done, because they went through a lot of trial and error to make their stuff work. So I don't learn from my own mistakes, but I try and at least learn something from others. So I would definitely steal some stuff from them if possible.
Definitely looking them up tonight. But here is my cab ride camera. It is 1 inch squared.
Nice. Yeah.
I think it's a how do you say? I think it's a Quinlan, however you say his name. SQ12. And it's it's literally you just the engine I used was an old PRR 6-axle unit that was a dummy. And I was like, all right, well, since it's already kind of messed up, I chopped the nose off of it and slid it right into the front of it. It fits perfect. Like most people don't realize there's a camera in there until they actually stare at the engine long enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that one's Wi-Fi, right? You can pick up the Wi-Fi signal off of it.
This one you can. The newer ones you can, but this one
Oh,
you can't.
okay.
Mm.
Okay.
Who's this person that came in? I don't know.
How you guys doing?
Hey.
Morning.
Hey, how you doing? I just found your program randomly. I've been trying to find any call-in live program, and I found yours, and I wasn't sure how this works. Do you guys take all subjects, or is it just for the future kind of thing?
Anything you want to bring up?
Oh, yeah, no, I get just
normally this is model railroading. We're all model railroaders is how we all came together.
Oh well, yeah. There's
on
that.
this channel. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to hijack your program, or like maybe bad choice of words. I don't want to change your program. So if you're only on mostly model railroading, I don't want to do something else. Then I guess what I do is I have my own popular page, and I like to call in different programs and get things going. And I bring up certain subjects sometimes, just for entertainment information. But if you're more into model railroading, then I guess you don't take other subjects, right? Or no?
No, not really. Sorry.
No problem. Well, I mean, good luck with your page, and thanks for at least giving me a chance. I like the fact
Thanks
that you guys
for-
pretty fast, and I hope you guys do well in the future. Just one thing to help your page, since you have over 200 subscribers and you have a platform to take calls, I highly recommend to do various subjects. That way you have more of an audience and people, you know what I mean? Just variety then.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean you're right or wrong, just putting it out there.
Okay.
yeah. Whenever people like that come up, I always make them turn their camera on so I could see who they are and what they're up to.
It says authenticated with you. I'm like, who? I don't even. Banned from studio. How about that? I'm trying to kick. There we go. Kick guest.
Were you there? John had some guy come on his that was like,
Oh, no.
Oh, and we lost Keith.
I
too.
didn't kick him.
No, Keith's always got internet issues. He'll come and go.
I was waiting for him to ask if we wanted to renew our auto insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
When is it?
Really? I know that's what I thought he was gonna. I thought he was trying to get me. Like, I've had a couple Chinese companies reach out about like weird product sponsorship. I'm like, what is this guy? I thought he had like a question to ask. I'm like, what?
Did you see what happened to DIY and Digital with him being contacted?
He got yeah, he got hacked and took all the video sound, but he must not have had like 2-factor authentication unless they were like super good.
He did. They just spoofed him really good.
Wow.
Basically, but Fred Wiles says he was at least polite, and that
Yeah,
I cannot
I mean, that's
deny.
great.
That guy was so polite for just jumping in and yeah, very polite.
He didn't cut
nice.
to any chase. He's like, I want to bring up a topic. I'm like, what?
Yeah, well, no, good for him. I mean, it's
At least he's polite. Like that's good.
yeah. No, he was. So, Drew, are you going to stay on here for a couple more hours? If you are, let's try and get Chris from Go Via Go Home to come up here too.
I was gonna call it soon. I mean, I was playing.
That's the
I'm
funny
already
thing
an
about-
hour and a half over. So
So you got to understand the thing with live streams is people will just keep going if you don't cut it off.
oh wow.
You have to you as the host really have to throw down the gauntlet to stop the stream sometimes because it will just keep kind of going. And there's actually, I don't know if you know this, but you're sort of a part of a joke now because you were on the stream with John, I think it was.
Oh, when they kept me
And
going
you-
like 4
when
times.
they kept you going now. So that's why
Mhm.
that's why I was trying to keep John going, is just to give him a hard time. But yeah, I mean, like I just looked too. I mean, there's nobody else live streaming that I subscribe to. So it's like, we might as well keep you going all night and see who else.
Here. He's wondering the same thing as I am. I'm like, I was wondering what he was gonna ask. He just said,
me too.
I would like to bring up a topic. I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know.
Yeah,
So-
very polite about it. Very
He
polite
was
about
polite.
it.
He's
that's
like,
for sure.
I would love to bring up a topic. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh,
Huh.
so here's this Michael
Oh.
Jordan. So that's him. This Michael Jordan fans are
Oh.
the worst NBA fans.
So strange how you just kicked me out the room and acted like I was being strange. I told you I just found your program. I was respectful and gave nice advice, and I did nothing wrong. Okay.
We do. We agree. We agree with you.
We agree with you. Yeah, we didn't say anything wrong.
We said you were very respectful.
You were very polite. You're just like, you know.
Yeah.
mm.
Chris is working. Why is Chris
See,
working?
He's the reason why I don't want to put the Garden Railroad video up, because he's gonna find me on Google Maps.
Well, and that's I hate to say it, but that's part of all this COPA stuff, and with
Yeah.
you being one of the younger members of the hobby, it's that it's
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's all we're gonna say.
That's all I need to say about it. But yeah, I mean, the guy was very nice.
He was polite. I mean,
Yeah.
not in the chat, but in
Wow.
yeah, whatever. Huh.
Sorry, Drew. So you said for 2021 you're going to be more consistent.
Yeah, I mean, I like keeping it with schedule, like just routine. That's what I did over the summer. Over the summer, they were bad videos, but they were consistent. I was doing an interview and like another video Wednesday and Saturday, and I kind of kept that going. And school came, and that was, a roadblock. But I just said about 50 times, but it's fun.
It's all good. I say about 600 times,
I'm sorry. I was having a brain block because I just saw this guy again.
Yeah, I just
Oh.
removed his comments from YouTube. So
Oh, I forgot. Thank you. Can you?
yeah. He's blocked, so
Oh, can you block somebody from commenting?
you can,
Oh.
because I'm a moderator on your channel.
Mhm. Thank you for
So
doing
not
that.
in StreamYard. In StreamYard, they'll keep coming up.
Oh, really? Okay, I keep seeing it, so I was
Yeah,
wondering.
in StreamYard they'll come up, but I've blocked him on YouTube.
Okay. So what was
whatever.
the sales call that you guys got?
I don't know what I don't think I was there when John got his prank call, but earlier today there was a guy named Patrick that wanted to come up, and I thought it was this guy NS Pittsburgh, but it just said Patrick and his camera wasn't coming up. So I
Mhm.
told him, turn your camera on if you want to come up. Just because it's a little easier to tell what's about to happen if they have
Mhm.
if they'll put their camera on. So
The only reason I did it is because they said something in there's like a private StreamYard chat, and it was
Yeah, I
all
saw.
about waiting on hold. I'm like, oh, because from the Modeler's Life Facebook page, people from like Europe, they say that. Like they just say whatever they're gonna say, and then they say then. I'm like, that's a polite person from Europe. So it's probably a very unfounded claim, but that's how I think.
Do you get on the Mother's Life Wednesday hangout?
I'm not on Patreon.
I
I went on
right,
there
yeah, I
once.
guess you need to
Lionel
have
just
a
sent me the
Patreon.
link. Yeah.
Yeah, it was I did it for the first time this last week, and it was really interesting. Actually, it was kind of it's similar conversation to what you get on these YouTube things, but
Yeah.
it's different also.
Absolutely.
it was
It's
cool.
fun topics. I mean, the last week of November or the last week of September, I recorded, I think we did 3 podcast episodes in 1 week. And I was like,
You
I'm not gonna
did with Lionel?
Yeah, we did for his show. Or maybe it was 2 and the other one was earlier. But I remember I just did 3 at once, and I'm like, so unless I have you guys on my channel, we're not gonna talk for a little bit because this is way too much content.
So Drew, it's you and Ron Marsh are the 2 big YouTube superstars that are on AML now. Is that how this is working?
I mean, I guess so. They said that I'm the problem child of the AML network, so there we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, all you got to do is ask, right? We were talking about you earlier, saying if anybody is going to get Rod Stewart interview, it's going to be you.
I told you I don't think so. I think if there's anybody who's gonna get it, like literally, I think it's gonna be Lionel Strang. Like he said he thought about reaching out, and I'm like, he knows a lot of people, so I think literally, like if somebody were to do it, it would be him.
See, but I think Rod Stewart would do it for you
Oh, that
before he would
well,
do it for him.
that's true.
Because for him it's a little more business-esque. Whereas I think
Yeah.
if Rod Stewart's gonna do it, he's gonna do it to talk trains. Like he's gonna do it
Absolutely.
because
Yeah,
he
as a
wants
fun-
He's not
Well,
going to do it
actually-
talking about himself. He just wants to do it.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah,
if I were
talking
to
about-
do that, I would do it live. I think I would do it live.
That'd be awesome if he
Without
would
That
do
would be
that.
awesome.
Probably
Yeah.
without the call-ins though. Just have the chat going.
Well,
Right. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
at least do call-ins and have them turn their camera on.
Robert Darby says, FYI, I am a subscriber now to your guys' channels.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I live streaming. That's the other thing. You get subscribers when you sit and talk, and it's very nice.
You know that
Yeah.
the other name that I was trying to think of earlier, Keith, that and I think he's been on Ken Patterson's show before, is and I think if I can get it right, Michael Gross.
I don't think I know his name.
What show was he on? He was on some 80s sitcoms, and now he plays like bad guys all the time. But he's a big model railroader too. I'm trying to. I
Yeah,
can't
no,
remember
people
the
said
name of the
Roger
show he was
Daltrey
on.
is apparently a model railroader also, but
Oh, is he?
If any of
Um,
these people could get me an acting gig, I mean, I'd be fine with that too.
do you know Andrew Collins? He says, "Hey Drew," and then he said, "Happy New Year, bro."
Oh, we went to middle school together.
Oh, awesome.
I'll send him a text when we get done.
Awesome.
He reached out to me early break, and we went away for most of break, so I got his text just as we went into the border of Virginia where there's no not good reception.
Yeah.
So I tried
Yeah.
to respond and it just said not delivered. So I'm not ignoring you. I just had no reception until like 12 hours ago.
I gotta say, I love you holding the mic. It reminds me of, like the mics you see where it's the little mic with the long thing out the end because you've got the little tail coming off the bottom of it.
Oh yeah, like a game show.
Yeah, like you're doing a game show host thing.
I've been religiously watching The Price is Right over quarantine, the whole thing.
With the Drew Carey one or the
Oh yeah, whatever's
the
new.
original?
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Andrew says one day I'll have his uncle's 12x4 S scale layout. That's really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. He lives like a 10-minute walk away, so
Yeah.
have to
Never
go over and
quite-
see it.
I never quite understood why S scale never took off more so than every other scale. Because I mean,
Yeah, I
you know,
don't.
they're right at 1/64th scale. Lots of things are made
Mhm.
at 1/64th scale and all that kind of stuff. It's
Like Hot Wheels.
easy to get things, but it just yeah.
I use Hot
Plus, I'm
Wheels on
saying, like,
HO
Hot Wheels
scale.
and Matchboxes and all.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like there's no. It's a lot cheaper. I had them lying around in
know.
a box from when I was 5. I mean, I don't see a problem with it.
See, that's why I think it's kind of funny when we talk about rivet counters on all of this.
Mhm.
Every one of us is a rivet counter on something.
Something.
Yeah.
And for me, it's vehicles. It's like, dude,
Really?
you know how far off that is from being real? You know, it's
Well, then
like-
we're not
That's
going to get
funny.
along. I'm sorry.
no, it's just I understand. I get it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like N scale. N scale is like the worst for vehicles. I remember for the
Mhm.
longest time, it's like I feel sorry for you guys because you can't have any cars. You know, it's seriously, but yeah, I know, I understand what you're saying. It's
Mhm.
but the only thing that gets me is when a guy sits there and spends all of this time and makes sure that the gutters are the right, that they're only 4 inches and all that kind of stuff, and then
Mhm.
he puts a Hot Wheels car in the driveway. It's just kind of
I feel like maybe Hot Wheels in
okay.
HO scale is acceptable, but not in N scale. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to be able to like put it on a train. Like I can fit a Hot Wheels, put it in something, but N scale it just kind of tips over as soon as you start to turn. So
Yeah. Yeah, I just bought, that's a pack of 50 N scale cars that I bought. I ordered, some stuff from some Chinese company or whatever, and
Yep.
You know, just because they can be so expensive. So I figure, you know, those will be my background cars.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
Yep. Yeah, it is
yeah,
kind of
it's all
funny
good.
though. But it was like the micro machines used to be good for N scale, which was kind of funny. They,
Oh,
Mhm.
especially like
interesting.
with trucks and things like that, they're about the right size for N scale. So when micro machines started making like more realistic vehicles and all that, they were just flying off the shelves, and you'd see them all over the place on N
Uh,
scale layouts.
that's awesome. Randall says he used to use Hot Wheels, Racing Champions, Winner Circle, and Matchbox cars on his HO layout,
Yeah, I
which is
use
all
Hot Wheels and
164
Matchbox
stuff.
cars still.
Yeah,
They're fine.
they're fine. You keep convincing yourself of that, Drew. It's all good.
I used to use iMovie, so I mean, I've been to the dark side.
What are you using now?
Final Cut Pro. I overdid it. I should have gone with anything else, but I mean, whatever.
Why? Final Cut's awesome.
No, it's just I feel like I don't use it to its full potential, and I feel like and there's things that are cheaper alternatives that I could get the same result out of.
Yeah,
But
that's why I use DaVinci Resolve because it's free.
yeah, I should have used that. I mean, yeah.
Well, that's why I'm still
well.
a professional, and I just still use iMovie because it's fast and
Well,
quick.
iMovie's completely fine. Like,
Yeah.
I just the thing that made me swayed me, the layout tour I did, I'm like, I need a bit more layering because with
Yeah.
iMovie, you need to like chop precisely, and I could have very well done the layout tour with that, but you can only have one. It's 3 layers basically, maybe a bit more on audio, but you have the audio file, the video audio file, and then a title, and it's either a title or a overlaid image. So when I do like the map I had on the layout tour, so in the bottom corner, it's a map and a red dot and a title above it. So that's 3 things. I could have only done one of them in iMovie, but it's like I could have just done that in DaVinci instead. So
Yeah, and that's
alternatives.
I was used to NLEs just from you know, I've used them in the past. So like I was trying to just use iMovie because I just had it. But like you
Mhm.
said, it's like I just couldn't
Layer.
I couldn't do what I wanted to do with all the layers. So
Mhm.
And-
but there are
and-
some great free options out there. Like people are always like, how do I start a YouTube channel? It's like, well, grab your smartphone and just go. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
Absolutely.
Well, that's like
And I mean,
I've got the gimbal, the same thing that Crossed Anchors had. I've had that for a year and all
oh,
that.
cool.
And what's really funny is DJI, when you get that, you actually they have an app, and within their app, and it's a Japanese company and all that kind of stuff, and they actually have different setups within their own app that you could do edits and things like that on it as well.
Yeah.
I just haven't been able to do it. You could do projects directly to DJI. And like I said, it's not that higher pro stuff. And like you said, Drew, when you want to do more things,
mhm.
yeah, it makes it a little bit more tough. And that's why I like I said before, I think I told Heath, I said, I'm at like 250 people. I don't care if I really grow my channel or not. I'm just kind of using it as a document type thing. But with you, yeah, you want to try to experiment and learn how to do the videography and do some
Yeah.
stuff like that. And yeah, so you do need some more powerful
Mhm.
things to do that.
Yeah. So go ahead, Drew. And so what's your favorite loco?
I have no idea why, but I always say F40PH 2Ds from Via Rail.
Why not?
Why not? That's the answer. That's the reason why.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why
What
not?
about you?
So my thing is I love circus stuff and the way the circus
I had
did
no
their
idea.
Oh, really? You didn't know that?
Well, I've seen your videos and stuff, and I hear you talk about it, but I had no idea it was like your favorite thing.
Oh yeah, I think the period when the circus traveled by rail, I think that's so cool. And the way the circus did it is they would just hire whatever locomotives were local to the area that they were moving stuff, in. So
Yeah.
for me, I don't have a favorite locomotive. It's all about, it's more just about this, like how things travel by rail around,
Mhm.
the country and around various countries. So
Yeah. Who's next?
Well, we know Keith's favorite locomotives from Alaska.
You know,
Um,
it's real.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say for me, it's really kind of funny. Because of the railroad that I'm modeling, the Puget Sound and Pacific Railroad, I've kind of really started liking the Jeep 30s and Jeep 38s. They're kind of older and things like that, but it seems like railroads don't get rid of those. They just keep them, or they sell them, or they become switchers, but it just seems like
They become switchers, is what they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
but I mean the funny thing is like the other day I was out and Burlington Northern was running a short with those. It was probably they had them. It was in a tandem, and they were running a short train with probably 25 cars or something like that, a little local, and it was the 38s that they were using to pull it. So it's just kind of funny. It's just kind of a train. It's kind of a diesel, a modern diesel that's just been around forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I would say my favorite locomotive. It did change like 2 years ago when me and my wife moved to West Virginia, but it's the GP40s. Because our local the local railroad that's in our town, they do one train a day to the feed mills, and it's pulled by either 2 or 3 SD40s, or there's a high hood has like a DPU in the back end if they have run like a train over the weekend. So for me, it's SD40s now. Even though all my model trains are all like SD70s or ES44s.
Oh, I have an
Right.
ES44 from MTH, and I had it at a charity train show. It was raising money for people in Haiti at this like school for the handicapped in Haiti. Like it was like a thing at a church for charity. And of course, as soon as I put it on the track at that event, it doesn't do anything. So I kind of just put it on the track. I'm like, okay, whatever. It sits there and it gets burning, like it starts smoking after about like a half an hour. So haven't touched that one.
Oh,
Yeah, I have decoder buddies that I'm working with, and I was gonna put one of those in there and make it like a whole big project. But then I'm like, if it's not the decoder and I mess something up, I don't want to break a decoder buddy. So that thing's just gonna sit forever.
Oh, come on. Watch some like SMT videos or Dirty Dan's or something, and get in there and try and fix it.
Well, that's with DC stuff. Like I have no problem jumping into like an analog locomotive, but if it has DCC in it, like especially like sound decoders, and the MTH stuff has 8 functions. So if I have to buy another 8 function sound decoder, I'm down $239. So, I don't really want to.
wow.
Because
Yeah, that
the
large
locomotive
scale
didn't even
stuff
cost
is
that much. I
expensive.
got it on sale for like $130 Black Friday 3 years
Yeah.
ago. Like I'm not going to pay more than the engine for.
Yeah, I think
Before it goes too far away, sorry, I just want to Robert Darby's comment. Great to
Oh.
see a young guy into trains. Been in the
Yeah.
hobby since 8. A board member of the Napa Club for 35
Yeah.
years. And,
Sorry, the private.
I think a lot
chat
of us
room, I
agree
just
with that. A lot of us agree with that, and that's we love like seeing you in the hobby and what you bring to it and your interviews and stuff.
Aw, thank
So I
you.
think it's really great what you're doing.
Thank you, and thank you also. And this is a big problem we've been having on interviews lately. So
The number
I
of
don't know.
times you say Jason Schramm's name. So
yeah, we haven't said his name on any podcast recently.
Oh, we're not allowed to say it anymore. Is that,
I don't know. I haven't. So looking through,
See, I was surprised that you haven't said it at all tonight.
I
gonna
know.
see if we
So
could get
here I am on
that
my
count
interviews.
up.
Okay, going through the videos. I didn't say Jason Tron on the Jason Tron video, or maybe I did. I didn't say it on the Jonathan Euclair interview. Didn't say it on the George Bogatuk interview. It's been 3 interviews where I haven't said it.
See, but he's already
That's
up to
too
40.
funny.
He's
So we got to say Jason Schron now. Break the ice.
Yeah, John. John number 26. We're trying to see if we can keep Drew on for another like 2 hours so that we break the
you're-
record.
He's going to be
he's been trying to get off.
hit the end broadcast button, and then it's just going to end abruptly.
He's been trying to get off for over an hour now, and we're just
Yeah.
keeping him going.
An hour,
think
39
Drew
minutes,
should-
and 34 seconds.
You know, Drew, I think you should. I think you should approach Jason with hey, can you read this and do this as my intro, and just have him on as your intro for interviews.
Just
That
have
would
him
be
say his
amazing.
name. I'll email him and I'll be like, so can you just record yourself saying your name and send it to me, and I'll put that at the beginning of every single video.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe he'll say yes.
Pretty sure he will.
Mhm.
Or he could
If
do
he
something
doesn't
like
do it,
from you can make him like your Ed McMahon since you're doing the talk show interviews. You can come up and you can probably say, and from the train car in the basement, and he can throw it off over to you.
Then that'll give me something to do with my background besides a white wall. I can get like 50 printer paper sheets and cut them out so it looks like his train car in his basement.
Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
It
there
will
you go.
probably take me as much time to figure out how to do that as it took him to build the thing in his basement.
Oh, that's too funny. So why are you out here today, Drew, instead of in your room? Is the internet in your room just still not quite cutting it?
So here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
The first 4 interviews I did were all in different locations. The
Yes.
first one was against glass in my room, which was an awful idea. The second one was, I think it was out here. Then the third one was in my parents' room on the wall because it's above the Wi-Fi router. So the first 5 were different. So then the second one, or the fourth one, we're on the fourth one. That was in an office that we don't use. And the 5th one was against a wall of my family room. They were all in different locations. And
So
then
where is this now? Because this is a different chair than I usually see you sitting in. You're usually in more of a couch, and this is more of like a
It's-
wicker.
It's the same.
Fair.
So, when we talked, that was probably the
Yeah.
last one. Because I was in my room then. I was trying to be like, okay, I'm going to be in my room. Then the Wi-Fi completely didn't work. And I moved. I just walked to like the living room of my house, and I
Yep.
sat on the couch, and I propped my laptop up on my knee, and I
Yeah.
held it, and it was shaky. So that was weird. But then I came out here. This is my sunroom. So
beautiful.
it's glass, and I have to turn the heat on an hour and a half before I want to come out here, or else it's cold. So,
Well, that's cool. So you could set this up as your recording studio.
well, every time before I talk, 20 minutes before the agreed upon quote unquote time is, I come out here and I bring out a TV tray table, then I have a stack of books, my computer, my microphone stand that now doesn't work, and then I have panel lighting. So that whole process takes me 20 minutes to get right.
Oh, and it's interesting you bring that up because a lot of people don't realize. They think, oh, a live stream, you just hit go live and you go.
No.
And a lot of
Oh,
people
no.
don't realize that it actually takes something to even
Yeah.
do a live stream.
And even like to reach out ahead of time. Like
Yeah.
I've been trying to like find time to do this since the beginning. And then I was like, oh yeah, I was in, because we had Wi-Fi in Virginia. We got a VRBO because we had nowhere else to go. We just wanted to get out of our house, and it had Wi-Fi, but I couldn't even like stream YouTube videos. Like all I could do was like read the comments. So,
Yeah, it's the cheapest, I'm
Yeah.
sure, the cheapest internet they can get.
but the VRBO was fun. So
Yeah.
It's funny. The first time I ever heard of them was literally an ad right before I came to your video. Right before I came to
Really?
the stream.
it's
First I ever heard
great.
of.
It's like a hotel. Everybody who does it is super nice. It's like Airbnb, except you get like the whole house. It's like so much cheaper than a hotel room. We went to
Yeah.
Disney World and we got a VRBO, and it was the best experience ever because you're not crammed in a hotel room, and it was like a
Yeah.
third the price of like actually staying there. I can't believe there's 10 people just watching us talk about VRBO right now.
There were 30 people on my stream earlier today listening to us ramble about absolutely nothing as well.
So
Well,
how close
Andrew
are you to
wants to talk-
1,000 subscribers now?
Andrew wants to talk about a steam engine, but
Oh,
we're-
I brought it up. Well, I highlighted it earlier, and then we just kept moving. Here, Andrew. Okay. So
Sorry.
outside of the club, there's an 060 switcher, Pennsylvania. They switched out the tender for consolidation, and then they've since moved it behind an abandoned warehouse because people kept climbing on it and taking parts. That's all I know about it. Yeah, so our club is like in a business park, and there's railroad tracks that go behind it, and they're active from the Wilmington Western, which is an excursion railroad up by us. So it goes by, and it's a privately owned abandoned thing. So it's just stored, but people kept climbing all over it, and they had to move it.
Wow.
I know.
That's sad.
They keep talking like Wilmington Western. It's really cool because they have one of those modernized 440s, and then they have an 060 switcher, each of which were like the same guy who did the 7.5-inch gauge nonprofit. I'm blanking on his name, but I don't know where all his money came from, but he funded the 7.5-inch gauge place, and he funded the railroad to start. So he put all this money into trains, and now it's cool how much active stuff there is in this one specific region. So it's pretty lucky to have that.
Me and him gotta become good friends.
Check out Chris's question from Go Via Go Home.
Question for all. Because you are active on YouTube, do you ever get noticed in public? I do not. I do not.
I have
Not yet.
2 stories. Yeah, I sort of have
Oh,
2
you have?
stories, but it's more. It's not so much that people recognized me, but my dad. I made up. I have my shirts and stuff, but I also have a mask, and my dad bought one of the masks, and he went to visit a friend of his, and his friend was like, "Oh, you watch that YouTube channel also?" And my dad was like, "Yeah, it's my son," and he's like, "Oh, so." My logo got recognized. But then the other time it got recognized is I was on a YouTube chat, and I told the story already once today, but I was on a YouTube chat with on International Scale Modelers. They do like cars and planes and motorcycles and stuff. So it's still modeling, but it's not model railroad stuff. And I was just chatting with people, and somebody pops up, Blaine Heath, in the chat, and I was like, how does somebody over here know me? And it's somebody that, watches some of the model railroading streams.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot of chat stuff we missed. Yeah, I've never if I got recognized, I don't know what I'd do. I would either just kind of cover my face and walk fast forward, or if I recognize them, would be like, "Hi," and then just kind of.
Once we start going to train shows, people will recognize you at train shows.
I'm my whole point, if I get any kind of influencership, is to convince some people to go to Greenberg in Delaware, because we have no manufacturers. I'm on the Bachman forum, the Bachman Trains forum. I have no idea why I'm so active on that, but it's just the right size of small, where you're not overloaded with so many forums where like you can't keep up with it, but at the same time it's enough to keep you entertained. So I don't know.
I mean, if you go to any of the big shows, Lionel will recognize you, and Jason will recognize you at the booth. So
does he still do train shows, Jason?
I haven't seen
I
him
don't
at
know.
one in a while.
Yeah, he's been sending people.
Probably not. Yeah.
I know Rapido goes to Amherst all the time, but I haven't seen Jason in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I wanted to meet up with Lionel sometime. He kind of hinted when we were recording a podcast that I brought up cross country, and I guess he ran too. So we were just kind of talking about running in the middle of a podcast, and he was like, "Oh, could you do the walk?" And what the walk he does to raise money for cancer, and I forget
cool.
how many whatever the distance was. But he was like, "Oh, do you think you could walk like this many kilometers?" And I'm like, "Only if you can give me the conversion in miles." So if he can give me the mile conversion, then I'll do it.
That's funny. Andrew Collins says he'll recognize you, or at least I think that's what he's saying.
Oh yeah. I remember the live stream I did 4 months ago, and we had probably a total of like 7 chat things. That was before I knew anybody who's in the show right now. And it was Andy Ambrose and Sparky 107 107. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, we'll know when Heath actually makes the big grade is when he actually gets stopped on the street in New York City going, "Aren't you the guy? You know, I've seen you before." But until then, Heath just
New York City will be
you're not
tough.
gonna
There are
make
not
it.
a lot of model railroaders.
Well,
Not a
and
lot of model
everybody's in a
railroaders in New
mask
York
right
City.
now. So I mean, I don't think I'd be recognized. First of all, because I only have 200 subscribers. Like the guy who got on here earlier said, because I'm so mean to all my viewers. But I'm in a mask all the time. Like nobody walks around maskless, unless I'm like in a park, I guess, taking a run.
No, that's a good point too. That's a valid point.
Just wear big glasses and a hat, like how the celebrities try to hide.
You just need to wear your logo. Wear your logo shirt.
I wonder if John gets recognized. John Abaticola, Ron Marsh. Even
John was
Lionel.
talking about it earlier. He says he would go to train shows with his friend Kevin, and
Well,
he
train
said his
shows,
friend.
of course, you get recognized, but I'm like outside of model railroading world.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I'm just hoping
Would that be
somebody at
funny
like
in your
train show
supermarket?
goes up to me and they're like, "Oh, are you Drew?" I'm gonna just be like, "Yes, I am." I'm just gonna be so excited about it. Like, if it's at a train show, if it's in public, I'm gonna be freaked out. But
Yeah,
oh well.
that's funny. So Keith, are you in your truck right now?
Yeah, I'm parked up in North Jersey for the night now.
So I didn't realize. So do you drive a? I didn't realize you drove a tractor trailer. I thought you drove a bigger box truck thing, but you drive an overnight tractor.
Yeah, I'm out for about 3 weeks at a time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm home for about a week and a half.
I don't know why I thought you were doing shorter runs.
Probably because a lot of times I used to get on, I was in New York City a lot. They do box
Yeah.
trucks. But we
Right,
take the sleeper.
yeah.
We take sleepers, but we take like 28-foot trailers out there with us, little pup ones. So
You pull a 20-foot behind your tractor with a sleeper, because the tractors with the sleepers you don't see in New York a lot. They usually use the yard tractors around. Yeah, they usually use those in this area, just and trying to make a left turn in the city kind of thing.
Oh, trust me, we do our stuff at the middle of nighttime, and I use every inch of the road.
Oh, I'm sure.
So the warehouses I work for, towards the dollar stores like Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, and Dollar General.
Gotcha. Yeah.
They're money tight, so they could, if there's a way for them to fit a bigger trailer there to put a second store on it,
Yeah.
they will find a way to do it.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh, well, the one truck made it. What about the last 5? Well, the one made it, so you should be able to do it."
Some drivers are much better at driving in New York City than others. I will say. I will say that.
Oh, yes.
John 2618 wants to know if you drive Peterbilt trucks.
No, I drive the better ones. I drive the Kenworths.
Ooh, uh-oh.
Oh no. Okay, so here's the rumor with it. Peterbilts
Wait.
are like
You're
the
on
worst.
the East Coast and you're saying the better trucks are Kenworths and not Macs? I thought everybody in the East Coast was like, Mac is the only truck that exists.
Not me. Mack
I've been
trucks are
seeing them
nice,
less
but
and less on the road, so I mean,
Mack trucks are nice, but our company don't never buy them. And I bought my truck through the company, so our only option was Peterbilts, Kenworths, Freightliners, and I think Internationals. And they were the nice looking ones. So I stuck with the Kenworth that had the most luxury in it.
There you go.
The most at home look in it. Let's say that.
Yeah.
So Andrew Collins was talking about the club layout, and it's been, so you've been going, but it's been a lot of work going on during COVID, like almost more than like the period of time before COVID. Like there's just been a lot of progress going on, socially distanced, and everybody coordinating just so when this is done, it's just perfectly functioning. Yeah. There's so a mouse got into a bag of ballast. And so when I walked in to film the layout tour that I did, we just didn't
Oh,
film the
no.
dock because there's this big port scene and all it needs is water and then it's like done. But you know, the ballast bag everywhere.
Oh,
That's so wild that Nancy's getting recognized by people in her building.
Hey, I've been in Nancy's building. That
Here.
is pretty amazing that she's getting recognized by people in her building. So I know where she lives.
this is not a Mexican. Wait.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so yes, the chassis does come from Mexico, all right? It's only half Mexican. Had to
Yeah,
catch that
well,
one, Frizzy.
when they shut down the plant here in Seattle, that's when the Kenworths went away. You know, they moved
Yeah.
into their other plant. Unless you get the really big fancy Kenworths, then they're still made in the U.S. But yeah, I went to that. Yeah, the big ones are the 4x4s, the 4x4s and the oil trucks and all that kind of stuff. They're all made here in the U.S. The Kenworths.
Mm.
Yeah, I got the conventional model, which
Yeah.
we get the sleepers and the cabs are still made in the United States, but the frames are all made in Mexico.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, you know. I told you guys where I work now, but I've had quite a few jobs in my past, and one of the things that I did was I actually did work for PACCAR. So I got to go to their Seattle facility, and I went to the facility in Texas, down in Denton, Texas, and all that. So I've been to a couple of their plants. It's really.
Are you a
amazing
rocket scientist, Steve?
Huh?
Are you a
No,
rocket scientist, Steve?
No, I was actually I was in the nuclear navy, and it opened up a lot of different fields for me. So
Yeah.
I've done chemistry stuff. I've done industrial hygiene, which was kind of cool. And that's where I got to work with those guys. So industrial hygiene is kind of health and safety. So
Yeah.
I got to spend 2 years in the Caribbean at an Amaretta Hess oil refinery.
Ooh,
Doing that
that's
stuff.
interesting.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was kind of fun. But yeah, it's so I've got to see a lot of different things in a lot of different industries. So that's part of one of the reasons why I like railroads, because I get to do some of these industries that I've seen and worked with.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I
Wow.
love that Keith has all of his projects in his truck with him.
Oh yeah.
I guess
so
what
the
else
wife,
are you gonna do, right? Watch TV, right? I mean, that's probably what everybody else does.
so the wife hates it when I bring it home because I would turn like the living room table to like my own little
Yeah.
workstation when I'm home, and I lose
Yep.
track of time. So she'll come home from work like and be like, so I'm guessing dinner's not made, and your stuff is in the way. So now I got to sit here and make a mad dash to clean everything up. So I learned my lesson. All my projects go with me in the truck to give me something to do,
Mhm.
and she won't yell at me no more.
Yep, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Oh, trust me, let's see, there's 1, 2. There's like 4 different projects I probably have in this truck. Probably more.
I just noticed your shirt, by the way.
Oh, I swipe while I wipe. That's my wife. That's my wife that did that to me. She
Oh,
buy me stuff.
really? That's too funny.
She's like,
Drew,
"Oh,
is
this
that
looks good.
kid
This looks
friendly
good
enough?
for you." Yeah, I don't. She buys
Oh,
me
you
all
got
this
a
stuff.
module in
Like,
there too.
so this is one of the ones I'm working on.
So
this
you have
is,
you have 2 bunks. You have 2
Yes.
bunks then in your truck. Okay, yeah.
You probably see it better this way.
Wow, it's amazing that you have that in there. Like that's really cool.
It's so we're doing since I work for I'm part of Northeast Corridor. We do we didn't have a train station. We have 20 plus modules, maybe 30. Not one station. So
And you're on the northeast quarter, which is station after station after station.
Exactly. So I started building one because everybody like, oh, I'm gonna design this one, make that one. So I
You
said,
guys
screw
run
it.
passenger trains too, don't you?
Yeah, most of our stuff is passenger trains, and it's like
With no
10%
stations,
freight.
that's pretty funny.
Exactly. We have nowhere to stop the trains at. It just keep going and going. So this is the main module for where the building and everything else would be at. So that's why this one's in the truck with me. And I just got done making 3D. Just got these 3D printed for like little corridors for going down to the station, from the station to the platforms.
Oh, yep. The walkways and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So they will go pretty much like this.
Yep.
I gotta make this one bigger. But it sucks because I gotta get it printed, and then I gotta wait till I get home to go get them,
Get it. Yeah.
and then hopefully they fit.
Right. All right.
Mm.
But yeah, that's one of my major projects. Because I got no train shows, I'm in no rush to do it.
That's great though that you're working on the module. I keep trying to convince Containerman 68 to put a module in his truck too, so he can work on it while he's on the road.
That's how I
think
built
that's
all
the
of mine.
coolest thing. I mean, I think if somebody were to have like Z scale, like in Europe how they have like Z scale, very popular. You can fit a lot in a small space. I feel
Yep.
like somebody over there has got to have like a full-fledged, detailed like Z scale layout in the top of a big hauler truck.
With his 2 bunks, he could do a Z-scale layout with a helix going between the 2 bunks.
Actually, hey Heath, what is the smallest like usable radius for N scale?
9.75.
And that's like that's radius or that's like diameter?
That's
Radius.
the radius. So it would be
So,
whatever, 19 and a
19.
half inches.
I can make an actual oval on that top bunk.
Oh,
There you
wow.
go.
That top
That
bunk
would
is
be the
28 inches
coolest
wide.
thing.
Nah,
Yeah.
I can't.
Now we
I'm
just
not
got to
gonna-
convince you to go to N scale.
I was like, I don't think I would do it because all my HO scale stuff would just go collect dust for here on out. 'Cause I have my own layout in the truck now.
If you did that, you'd have to make the N scale party car.
But if you made the N-scale party card, you'd only be able to have 2 colored lights in it.
It'd be like one LED doing everything.
Exactly. You could only have like one light. That just, I don't think it would work. That LED would just be pumping. It'd almost have to be a strobe light LED.
So John 2618 wants to know, Keith, what you're making there with the boxcar, and Chris from Go Via Go Home wants to know what passenger stuff you run.
All right, so I run. All right, hold on. The boxcar is the battery for my battery operated train I'm making for a track cleaning system. Because usually when you clean your tracks, the tracks are dirty and the engine sort of stutters the whole time. So with battery power, it has a clean flow of power to the motor and just keeps going around cleaning it without you having to do nothing about it. And the passenger cars I run, my main one is Amtrak, which is the Silver Meteor and the Lakeshore Limited ones.
Hmm.
And then I have
But those don't run on the northeast quarter.
they started in New York and go to Miami. The Silver
Oh, I
Meteor
don't know.
starts in New York on the electric side. And when they hit DC, they go to diesel.
Oh, interesting.
then-
Okay.
The Lakeshore Limited, the one half starts in New York and the other half starts in Boston. They meet in Albany.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I was trying to think, I have the Norfolk and Western's. Norfolk and Western excursion train I have. There we go. And it's pulled by I think it's a Class J, but it's not the 611. It's the 610. Only because I got it for like $20 because the guy did not know it was DCC.
Right.
So
Hey,
I got that.
Drew, I don't know if you saw my private chat.
I
to you.
saw. Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about the comments.
Yeah. Now that Sparky's
no.
here, though, it looks like you've got to go for the 4 hour, 6 minute mark. I mean, it's only another hour and 2 minutes away.
I'm not going past
Look at
midnight. So here, one more topic, okay? So, yeah. So, Andrew Collins brought this up, and it reminded me of something I wanted to bring up. Western Maryland, their 1309, which almost bankrupted them, it moved under its own power yesterday, or at least that's when the video
Oh, cool.
became public. So for a while, it seemed like that wasn't even going to happen, and they were just going to financially go under. But it's great that they got the money and making it happen.
I think that engine would have been done a lot sooner if COVID didn't hit. Cause they make a lot of money on their excursion trains.
They do, yeah.
I've been on their Western Maryland excursion train they have there a couple times,
Mhm.
and it's a beautiful view.
Yeah.
Especially like
Mhm.
the whole 3-course meal thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a little expensive, but it's so worth it. Like the fall time.
Hmm. Definitely. I mean, I haven't gone in a couple years, but when I went, like we got the whole meal thing, and it is pricey, but it's worth like the view when you get down there, and that's when we went when 734 was still operating, but then you could see it on the turntable. I don't even know if 1309 could fit on the turntable. I mean,
I
pretty
don't think
big.
it will.
I don't
I
think
don't
so
think
at
it will
all.
because the 734 was already pushing it some to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. It's going to be a while before it runs again, if it does. I mean, because that 1309 almost took them under, so I
Oh,
have
I
no
know.
idea.
I think once COVID, once
Uh-oh.
COVID, once COVID's like calms down a
It's
lot,
over. Yeah.
they're going to pick back up, especially with the steam engine being out and about now.
Hmm.
It just
I'm.
okay. Can they survive that long?
Yeah, there's
Well,
no
that's what I
better.
was gonna say. I just hope all the companies survive.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like companies that have made it to this point have a lot better chance of survival. Like, I haven't heard of many scenic railroads that have gone under. Like, I maybe heard of one that was on the brink, but I don't think I've heard of any that have just completely been done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Potomac Eagle, which is the one that comes through my neighborhood once a month. I was shocked
Mhm.
they're still doing excursions. Actually, that's the video I put up recently. I was sitting there working on my truck and I heard a train coming through on a Sunday. I'm like, who is sneaking down the tracks this time of day?
Yeah.
And I realized it's the scenic, it's the excursion train. I'm like, did not know they were still running, and they had a full train. I mean, of course, you can see
Really?
there people were spaced out, but they had like
Yeah.
11 cars pulling. I'm like, I've never seen that train that long before.
Yeah, that's what Reading Blue Mountain's been doing some longer stuff lately. They got the Norfolk Southern F units, which were in poor shape because they just don't care about them. But then they got those, they repainted them, and now they're taking them on long trains. Like they used to do short stuff with 425 and short excursion stuff, like nothing longer than 8 cars. But now they're doing like 12-car ones on a regular basis, and I mean, it's great to see that they're making that much money. But I wish that Western Maryland could be like that too, because it would be cool to see. That's
Oh yeah,
my long way of saying that it would be cool to see that in more places than just one.
oh yeah. Especially because they still got the 501 diesel thing, who's been doing all the work by itself like the last year or two, I think it was.
Yeah, it's in rough shape.
Yeah, it needs a break. That thing runs 3 or 4 times a week, plus whatever they do for like freight revenue, and it runs by
Yeah.
itself.
And another one that's in rough shape is New Hope and Ivyland. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but I went
Yes.
down there 2 years ago. So they had an excursion and we were waiting. So that goes down, they turn around, the diesel engine stalls. They send one, goes down, the backup stalls. They send the
Ooh.
third one down, the third backup stalls. So then they take everybody in vans back to the parking lot.
Wow.
Yeah, New Hope
You
and
got-
Ivyland's about 10 minutes from my dad's place. So that's
Oh.
that's kind of my local excursion train.
But they got whatever steam engine, I forget what number it is, 60, I think. They got it back up and running, so that's been better for them, but the rest of their fleet, I guess it's rare to see a steam engine that's in better shape than everything else, but that's their case.
That is true.
Well, unless anybody has anything else, I hate to say it, but I think we're gonna have to call it. We've
Yeah,
made it
unfortunately,
3 hours and 9 minutes.
Unfortunately, I'd keep you going, but I do have to go walk the dog. So
I gotta get back up at 5 a.m. to go unload at the store, so I can't be up too
Oh.
much longer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, then
right.
I guess we're going to collectively say thank you, everybody, for watching. I appreciate it. See you later.
Have a good one.